Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. It's Brother Raya. I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Shimmy Mashiach, from Malak Yahushua. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body a living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprises, the uproars, they out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up. Reading, praying, fasting, being diligent, taking notes, doing everything they could do to put themselves in a position to go out there to shake the hand, to wake up the hopeful elect. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty akwaf in this thing that actually sincerely reverence their husbands, being submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty akwaf that are not married as of yet, but they're building themselves up, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving. They're doing everything they could do to magnify the Lord in the ministry. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty children in this thing, abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of Yahushua. And last but not least, another strong shalom to the whole entire nation that's fasting in the last days, praying in the last days, being diligent in the last days, teaching in the last days, and casting off all workers of the flesh, standing 10 toes down for our King Yahushua. And there's going to be a Q&A right through the spirit. If you got any questions, comments, or concerns, then you could bring them out through the spirit. Right, shalom to all of the mighty saints. Right, shalom, shalom to all of the mighty saints on the live through the spirit. Right, shalom, shalom. All of the mighty men and women of the Lord. All right, we're going to jump into the first question. Right, the first question says, can I hang with friends and play some games together on the Sabbath day? Well, that depends on what you call games. Because we could go over scriptures and that could be fun. Now, what is Isaiah the 3rd chapter going into? Then a brother raised his hand. That would be righteous because you're going over the scriptures. A righteous game could be, whatever the case may be, learning the Hebrew, man. Going through the Hebrew, the ah, the tha, the ba. And when you get one wrong, hey, you got to stand in the back, man. Whatever the case may be. But if you're talking about games of Monopoly, you sitting up there lusting and cheating under the table, right? You stole another extra $500 bill and you stuffed it under your thigh, right? And you're just waiting for somebody to say something that's off, right? You can't be sitting up there playing foolish, folly games on a day of rest. This day was created above all days. I think a lot of the times, Jake, they lack or forget rather that the Most High has created the Sabbath day to be above all days, man. And we often forget that. The Sabbath day is above the Passover. The Sabbath day is above the Feast of Tabernacles. The Sabbath day is above all days. Now, I don't think anybody would be thinking about playing any games on the Passover. The Passover meal is going on. The sun just went down. Everybody's serious as I don't know what. I mean, any day to be serious is the Passover. Nobody, it would be out of the ordinary for somebody to even pose a question like that. How much more the Sabbath day, which even is above the Passover? It's the book of Genesis, chapter 2, and verse number 1. Right? I'm going to start at verse 2. It says, and on the 7th day, God ended his work. So you have to end all work, which he had made. And he rested on the 7th day. Not that the Most High had the rest, or Yahushua has the rest, but it's written for our learning sake, meaning he ceased from all his work, which he had made. And God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work, which God had created, right? Created and made. So let's go to the book, right? A 2nd Maccabees, chapter 6. Just to prove that. This is the book of 2nd Maccabees, chapter 6, and I'm going to start at verse 11. Right, and it reads, and others that had run together into caves nearby. So when all hell was breaking loose with the Greeks, and the children of Israel, they ran into caves to keep the Sabbath day. To keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered by Philip, were all burned together because they had made a conscious, right, to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. What is the Sabbath day? The most sacred day. And we often forget or lose track of how serious the Sabbath day is because it happens every single week. And we sit up there and we may think, oh, it's the Sabbath day coming in and try to trim this and trim that. Hey, that's more important than any day. Right? Can I work night shifts? All right, the brother posed the question, can he work the night shift? Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24. Let's answer that. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24, and I'm going to start at verse 14. Now, you may read precepts like the day is far spent, in Romans, the 13th chapter. You may read precepts like, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is today, in John, the 9th chapter, verse 4 all the way down. You may read certain precepts talking about the day, how you got to work, whatever the case may be, and then the night's coming, but that's all spiritual. There's no sin in you working at night. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24. I'm going to start at 14, which is in the law. Thou shalt not oppress an hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates. At his day thou shalt give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it, for he is poor. I mean, you have to pay this man immediately before the sun goes down. Esau likes to wait 2 weeks. Esau put you in a hole. He make you wait for 3 weeks. You got some people that get paid every month, man. That's wicked. When did the Lord say pay you and have you to stress out every day about paying bills? That's off. You have to pay a man every single day according to the law. That keeps money consistently in his pocket. That keeps a very sure foundation that he will always have food on his table. That will help a man to budget his money a little bit better if you're wise than to get a large lump sum. You get damn $800 or $2,100 or whatever the case may be, you might lose your mind. To budget your money, okay, I'm getting $120 every day. I'm getting $100 every day. I'm getting $80 every day. Whatever the case may be, I have to really chop this up. Okay, how am I going to spend this? It has you to be wise and prudent. It says, for he is poor and setteth his heart upon it, lest he cry against thee unto the Lord, and it be sin unto thee. Right? So the Lord is saying that you have to pay a man before the sun goes down. Not that he can't literally work when the sun is down. Now, if it's the Sabbath day, if it's a high holy day, or any day that the Most High has sacrificed, sanctified, then that would be a different story. But if you need to make extra money, you're in captivity, you're what they say broke, you need some extra ends coming in, there's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you budget your time wisely according to the Lord. All right, next question. Right, Amaziah Yahweh, Shalom Malak, in the book of St. Matthew 8 and 12, who would be considered the children of the kingdom, the water? All right, let's go to it. Let's go to the book of Matthew, the 8th chapter. Who are the children of the kingdom? It's the book of Matthew, chapter 8, and I'm going to start at verse number 11. And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and the west. So many are going to be coming from all different directions when the Lord saves and redeems Israel. It's not just going to be a great deliverance just in Babylon. There are going to be many men right from the four corners of the earth that are going to be taken and saved in the last days, right? And the Most High is saying that many is going to come from the east and the west. But let me get a precept on that. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 43. It's the book of Isaiah chapter 43, and I'm going to start at verse 6. It says this: I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. The ends of the earth are the east, the west, the north, the south, and all variant isles where the children of Israel have been taken, man. So the Most High said, man, give up, meaning they're going to be beamed up and saved and gathered together. So when it says, read that part again. right? It says, but I say unto you that many shall come from the east and the west and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. And when it says in the kingdom of heaven, when it says sit down, that's parabolic, right, to the wedding. Let's go to Matthew chapter 22. Because what are you sitting down for? Is this literal? You know how many people are going to be in the kingdom of heaven, man? How many men? There goes Abraham, there goes Isaac, there goes Jacob. Everybody running to the damn seats, man. It's not going to be a reserve sign. Okay, 144,000, 1, 2, 3, 300. And then you take your reserve table at this long, stretched out table. No, that's parabolic through the spirit of being bidden to the wedding, being in the kingdom of heaven. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 22, and verse number 2. The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a certain king which made a marriage for his son. What do you do at a wedding? You sit down, you eat, you have fun. You understand? You eat and rejoice. It says, and set forth his servants and called them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner. What do you set a dinner at? On a table. That table is also symbolic for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Sitting at the table is spiritual. The man in 1 Kings, the 13th chapter, he bid that other man to come to his house to eat. And what did he do when he forsook the Lord to come to his table to eat? He got devoured by lions. So a table is spiritual. Does not the Lord talk about dainty meats? A man given to appetite, whether it be lust or physically or spiritually with doctrines. So a table has a spirit behind it. It says, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come into the marriage. So when it says come into the marriage, it's talking about be beamed up, saved, and delivered. Come, I have called you, right? But a lot of men, they're not going to hearken and listen. Verse 12, but the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into the utter darkness. Because they refused, the Lord is going to cast them out. The children of the kingdom are the Israelites. It's not talking about Moab. He's not the children of the kingdom. Remember, the Lord said the kingdom of heaven is within you. So you will have to be the children of the kingdom. Let's go to Luke chapter 17 and verse 20. Because each and every one of us have the kingdom of heaven within ourselves. And what that actually means on a deeper level is you possess everything that we read about. You possess the power to have faith. You possess the spirit to endure to the end. You possess the manifold, like Isaiah did, to prophesy. Everything written you can actually do on a deeper level, man. Hey, Peter, before he was called, he would have never thought he would have been raising the dead. Men that were actually just fishers and minding their business before the Lord came, who would have ever thought? We was out in the world doing God knows what. Then the Lord called us. Now we're raising the dead spiritually. We're casting out devils and demons like our forefathers did. Nations are bowing down just like they did before. These are the things that we're reading about. So the kingdom of heaven, the spiritual power, everything that is going to happen over time is already within us. We just have to grow and come to that number. That seed already possesses the rosebud, but it just has to be watered. It has to be so-called pushed in the soil. It has to wait till it comes into perfection. It's already within that seed. It says, and Luke chapter 17 and 20, and when he was demanded of the Pharisees, when the kingdom of heaven should come, he answered and said, so like he answered them and said, the kingdom of heaven cometh not with observation. Neither shall they say, lo here or lo there. For behold, the kingdom of God is within you. And the kingdom has to be within the children of Israel. It's not within Moab, Ammon, or Ishmael. So it says the children of the kingdom should be cast out into utter darkness. That means destroyed. The utter darkness that is talking about is picking up in Matthew, the 13th chapter, going into the parable of the tares and the wheat. That's what utter darkness is talking about. Just the book of Matthew, chapter 13. And I don't want to read this whole parable, but nevertheless, I'm going to get straight to the point. I'm going to start around 38. It says, and the field is the world, the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy have sowed them is the devil, the harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. Therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be the end of this world. It said the Son of Man shall come, Salakia, shall send forth his angels and gather out the kingdom, out of his kingdom, all that offend and them that do which do iniquity, and cast them into a furnace of fire. That's utter darkness. There shall be wailing and gashing of teeth. So the Lord said there should be wailing and gashing of teeth. But in the same context of utter darkness, it says there shall be weeping and garnish of teeth. Meaning it's the same spirit. It's saying the same exact thing that Matthew the 13th chapter is. So it would have to be the children that denied to come to the table, that denied to come from the east and the west, that denied to sit down, which is spiritually to the wedding. Right, let's go to the next question. Right, Bayamian 144. Are we going to implement a new feast day in the kingdom when Esau is destroyed forever? All right, let's go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 39. Now, Esau is going to be exterminated, first and foremost. In case you didn't know, you made that. I don't know about that one. Well, brother, let's read it. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 43. Because the Lord told you that Esau is going to be exterminated. Esau has to be exterminated. He's a virus. He's a liar, a thief, an adder, a hypocrite, a snake, a demon, a dragon, right? A liar, a murderer. These are all terms, the wicked, in the Bible that's describing Esau. If he's not the wicked, where or who is he, man? This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 43. I'm going to start at 17. It says, which bring forth the chariot and horse, the army and the power. They shall lie down together. They shall not rise. They are extinct. They as quench as tow. So the Lord just told you in the scriptures, there's going to be a certain army, nation, and people that go extinct. What does extinct mean? They got the so-called philosophers, your so-called scientists. They got that damn brush, and they brushing up that old so-called dinosaur they think is a dinosaur and going into history. And this is a from 9 billion years ago, and it's bone is, and they're going to their philosophies, and they say, well, this animal is extinct because they're saying that it's cut off from the earth. It no longer exists. It's not walking around anymore. The same is going to be Esau. Not that you should enjoy looking at the wicked, but I mean, you have to visualize how we're living in the days of prophecy. And how every day we inch closer, we're inching closer to World War III, Jacob's trouble, the death of our enemies and the uprising of our people, and the destruction of our people that are going to be our family members. And it could be us, man, if we're not diligent. So every day is going to inch forth into more and more prophecy. So Esau is going to be extinct. With him being extinct, let's go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 39. Right? It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 39. Right? And I want to get the precept. Okay, bear with me. Probably start around 13. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 39 and 13. Yet all the people of the land shall bury them. Now, when you go into the destruction of Gog and Magog, that would be Russia. Now, Russia is a part of the so-called white man. The white man has many branches. Branches would equal his different tribes. Not that Esau specifically has tribes, but you have different sons of Esau when you go to the book of Genesis, right? The 36th chapter. You have the Dukes of Edom, and just like us, we have Ephraim, we have the Puerto Ricans, we have the so-called Haitians. We have all of the different tribes of our one nation. Just like there's not one white man. You got the British, the Dutch, right? The Spanish. You have all of these different men that come out of Esau. And he will be known as a whole, as a tree. Your whole nation would be known as a tree. That's in Romans, the 11th chapter. If the root be holy, so are the branches. The root is our forefathers. So if the branches be broken off, the root is still holy for us to be drafted back in. Now, Esau's root is wicked. It was never anything righteous about Esau. It's the book of Job, chapter 15, right? Let me get this quick precept. And I'm going to start at verse I don't want to read too much. I'm going to start at 30. He shall not depart out of darkness. The flame shall dry up his branches. So the flame is going to hit the bottom of the tree. That's picking up off of Obadiah. That flame is Joseph, man. Joseph and Judah. Lord willing, everybody watching this live that are a mighty men of old, we're going to kill him, man. Straight up. We're not trying to be politically correct. We don't care how anybody feels. Prophecy shall come to pass, man. It's the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, and I'm going to start at 18. It says, "And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them." So what is stubble? Meaning that little dust and those little particles, man. So as the Lord said that a flame shall dry up his branches, we're going to destroy him, kill him, and it's also going to dry up his remaining people that are walking the earth, his sons, his nephews, his grandfather, his uncles, right? His fathers. All of these different things are going to devour him. And by the breath of his mouth shall he go away. Meaning the prophecy that the Lord will speak, which is already written, which is playing out every day. Now, going back to Ezekiel chapter 39, dealing with Gog and Magog, which is the so-called white man and the landmaster of, yet all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them every now the day that I should be glorified, saith the Lord God. So the day that these things come to pass, when the Lord dry and destroy and utterly get rid of, right, the so-called Russians and lift us up and save us, right, coming back to our land after World War III in the second wilderness, these things are going to come to pass. And the Lord said it's going to be a renowned day. So if it's of the Heavenly Father, Lord willing, we'll have many days, man. That's not up for me to proclaim, but all we can go to is what's written. Most High willing, the Most High is going to do whatever the Most High is going to do in righteousness. And if there are many days of the destruction, just like there was of Nicanor, just like there was, you understand, when you're going into Amalek, when we destroyed them, the Lord told you to remember these things. The same way he's telling you to remember, and there's going to be another day, right? In Ezekiel, the 39th chapter. Let's go to the next question. My mother keeps trying to entice me, HBKENT. My mother's trying to keep enticing me to profane the Sabbath. Should I cut her off, or is that a sin? All right, well, let's go to it. First and foremost, let's go to the law. Let's go to the book of Exodus, the 20th chapter. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 20, right? And I'm going to start at verse 12. Honor thy father and thy mother. There is no if, ands, or but. There's no if my mother is in a wheelchair, if she's blind, if she's halt, if she's lame, if she's sick, if she's shut in, does she have the proper understanding of the Lord? You have to honor your father and your mother, man. Prime example of that is Luke, the 2nd chapter, when Yahushua was on fire in the temple. But then what happened? Mary and Joseph came out of nowhere because they was looking for him. And if it was up to the Lord, I'm led to believe through the Spirit, he would have stayed there and continued to teach. But Mary said, let's go. We got to go. And the Lord didn't say, well, I'm about my father's business and I shall stay. There was no spirit behind him doing something against what his mother wanted him to do. Now, you may not think that it's expedient to do certain things that your parents bid you to do. Can you mow my grass? Come on, man. I just got off of work. I just worked double shift. Can you please mow my grass? That's all I'm asking. Mom, can you please? Now you're sitting them. Now it's getting contentious. I mean, you could say something like, Mom, can I do it tomorrow? Is it all right if I come back next week? If it's still a no, hey, brother, you got to honor your mother, man. You have to do what seemed to be her that's good, that's helping her. Now, if she's bidding you to go against the commandments, that's a precept and something we can go into as well. But nevertheless, you have to honor your mother. And to completely pull away from her would keep you out of the kingdom because you're willingly not honoring her. This is the book of Luke, chapter 2, and verse 42. And when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. And when they had fulfilled the days, as they returned, the child Yahushua tarried behind in Jerusalem. And Joseph and his mother knew it not of it. They supposing him to have been with the company, went a day's journey, and they sought him among their kinsfolk and acquaintances. And when they found him not, they turned back again to Jerusalem seeking him. You got to understand how scary this is, man. Your child is gone. You got people turning around in the store, Best Buy, whatever the case may be, a kid gone. What the hell is going on? You go to the kids aisle, you go to the game aisle, or you go to the bouncy ball section. All the other kids bouncing up and down. You trying to say, where the hell is my kid at, man? It says, and it came to pass, after 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions. And all that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers. And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou dealt thus with us? Behold, thy father and I sought thee sorrowful. And he said unto them, How is it that ye sought me? Wish ye not know that I must be about my father's business? And they understood not the saying. So you may not understand the saying of your son. Your son may not understand the saying of your parents. Your parents may say, well, I need you to do da. And you don't understand it. Why when I could do it tomorrow? Why when it's not that serious? Why? I mean, you may be fully convinced in your mind that you don't understand it and it could be a different way. And it could be the same way with them. Why does he keep wearing those damn clothes with those strings on them? What is that blue thing that's on every one of his clothing? Why is he growing his beard out and it's patchy? Why doesn't he just shave it down and look decent? Right? Your mom may not understand anything. Maybe a disconnect. It says, and they understood not the saying which he spake unto them, and he went down with them. So he was subject unto Joseph and unto Mary. Now, all we have is this physically was written. But how many other times did Mary say something to Yahushua and Yahushua just dropped everything and followed his mother? That's something that you have to do. Now, it may not be expedient to you at the moment, but nevertheless, the greater glory behind honoring her is very well expedient. Let's go to that word honor in the Hebrew. Right? So we can uncover what that word is actually saying. It's the book of Exodus, right? Chapter 20. Now, let's go to that word honor. Honor means, right, to enjoy, honor, be made abundant, to get oneself glory or honor, gain glory, right? To make honorable, to make heavy. So these are the words to honor. We have to honor our husbands or honor our wives as well, right? Chiefly, the women have to honor their husbands. We have to honor the Most High. Because you're sad or mad at her doesn't negate you cutting her off because she may be evil. You have to take care of her and continuously pray for her and honor her with more precepts, more praying and more fasting so that spirit leaves her if it does. If it doesn't, that would be a very, very high mountain through faith you have to move in the last days to get the kingdom. But to cut off your mother, that wouldn't be expedient, nor is that biblical. All right, the next one. HBKENT, will Peter be the equivalent to Michael the archangel and the kingdom of heaven? All right, let's go to it. Now, understanding angels and men are two different things and two different offices. Now, first and foremost, let's go to the book, right, of Zechariah. It's the book of Zechariah, chapter 12, and I'm going to start at verse number 8. It says, in that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. Now, what does angel mean? Angel literally means messenger. So you have different offices of man, and you have different offices of angels. Every angel isn't the same. Every man isn't the same. You have different lots on the physical level with an angel and with man. But angel is a protector and he's a messenger. This is the word angel. Messenger, representing angel, right? So what do? They're sent to be a priest teacher. They're priest angels in the third heaven that come in and out of the tabernacle of witness that you read about in Revelations, the 15th chapter, verse 5 and 6 and 7 all the way down. So an ambassador, angel, messenger are different. Now in the kingdom, what are going to be their offices and their duties and what they're doing? Let's go to Zechariah. So let's go to Isaiah, the 4th chapter. Now, let's go to man's position in the kingdom and an angel's position in the kingdom. This is Isaiah chapter 4. And I'm going to start at verse 5. Right? It's the book of Isaiah 4 and 5. And the Lord will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion, meaning in the kingdom, he's going to create everywhere that you dwell, and upon our assemblies, a cloud and smoke by day. That cloud and smoke isn't a mysterious darkness. It isn't talking about like the movie, The Mist. It's talking about the chariots. The chariots of the Most High, right, are going to be right above our heads in the kingdom. You're going to see these things dwelling amongst all of our tabernacles. Now, those angels are going to get tired and say, I want to break. And I want to do something else right now. I want to step off. Why do I have to stay in this chariot? And why do I have to just be positioned right here? Well, you have certain men in a carnal aspect, they're called bouncers. And they just go like this all day, man. They fold their arms and they ask to see your ticket on a carnal level. Or they say, what's your name? Nope, you're not on the list. And then they just fold their arms on a carnal aspect. They're going to be chariots above all of the tabernacle where we're going to dwell in the kingdom of heaven. It says a cloud and smoke by day and the shining of the flaming fire by night. So from night and day, you're going to have different angels positioned to be right above your head. For upon all the glory shall be a defense. And there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge, for a covenant from the storm and from rain. Meaning, it's no way if you're asleep that these nations are going to come up like we did in slavery to kill them. Huh? What happened with what's his name? I forgot his damn name. Lord willing to come to me. But the slave that rose up and killed all of the men and fled, and they hung him and took his skin and flayed it off of him. The brothers know his name. They could go into it. I forgot the brother's name. But anyway, in slavery, we used to rise up and we used to kill them in the middle of the night when they would sleep. We used to throw a torch in their house and burn them up. But that's not going to happen, you understand, in the kingdom of heaven, because we'll always be watched. There's always going to be protection. Now, when you go to the book of Psalms, chapter 46, the Lord says he's going to have certain things cease out of the earth. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 46. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 46, and verse number 9. It says, he maketh wars to cease. Unto the end of the earth, he breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. Meaning the nations aren't going to be strong anymore in the kingdom of heaven. He's going to have wars to cease. They're not going to be any more wars. You could sleep by night. You could do your pleasure and righteousness by day and not worry about anything, because angels are going to be literally guarded to protect you and burn the chariot in the fire. It says, be still and know that I am the Lord. It's like I am God, and I will be exalted among the heathen. I'll be exalted in the earth. Now, as far as Peter and his office in the kingdom, it doesn't specifically say what Michael's office is going to be in the kingdom of heaven. But him being an angel, classifications going into angels protected in the kingdom of heaven, which is written. Angels also, right, are going to be warriors and guarding the gates in the kingdom of heaven. All we know them to do is to be servants. Angels don't have the luxury to walk around and just have conversation. Right? We're going to be the judges. We're going to be traveling. We're going to be doing these things and governing the world in righteousness. The angels are going to be above us. Not saying that they're rank. I'm just saying physically, they're going to be above us, making sure that we're safe in everything we do, even though we'll be immortal and perfect. It's like having a lock on your door. Then you got another lock on your door. Then your hinges is all brass. Then the door is all gold and iron and different parts. It's like, then this door is indestructible. Not that one mighty lock, nobody could even break into it from the beginning, man. Right? Let me go to the book of Matthew, the classic, chapter 19, verse 29. So the Lord tells you that Peter and them that acts, they will be judging, but the angels aren't going to be judging. So they're different offices. Can't say Peter's going to be here and then this angel specifically, he's right under Peter, but this angel's right above him. We're two different lots. We're two different families. You read about the different families in Ephesians, the 3rd chapter. Let me get that precept next. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 19 and 28. And Yahweh said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Not judging the angels, not the angels judging us. It's two different lots. And who asked this? Peter did. Now let's go to the book, right? So like it, bear with me. Of Ephesians, chapter 3. It's the book of Ephesians, chapter 3, right? And I'm going to start at, bear with me. I'm going to start at, Salaki, bear with me. $15. It says, of whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named. So there's a family in earth and there's a family in heaven. What does that word family go back to in the Hebrew? Tribe and nation. Not that there's physical, this angel is from the tribe of Asher. And it's not on a carnal aspect, but family meaning tribe, meaning group, meaning they're all the same on a deeper level. They're angels. We're all the children of Israel, right? So we're going to have a family that's going to be in heaven, right? Just to pull that up real fast. Brothers don't know that word family in the Greek. It's the word family. So I'll keep that with me. Family, which means lineage, right? Progenitor, ancestry, a nation or tribe, a group of families. So you have different families and different lots for the angels and for men. Okay, brothers, put it up there. Nat Turner. That's exactly what I was thinking about. Yeah, Nat Turner, right? He rose up in the middle of the night and started killing the Edomites. So there you have it. All right, let's go to the next question. I'm scrolling up. I'm scrolling all the way down for whoever got, there first through the Spirit. Are there black Edomites? If so, who are they? All right, let's go to it. All right. Let's go to the book of Matthew. All right. Chapter 13 and verse 24. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 13 and verse 24. Now, yes, there are so-called dark-skinned Edomites, right? I mean, you have Bob Marley. His father will be a so-called white man. You got Tracy Ellis Ross. I don't know how to spell that. She would be an Edomite. Her big bug eyes and her pea head and her string bean body and her wannabe Jake spirit beareth against her, man. Look at this. That's an Edomite. She looked like Ishmael. She would be an Edomite. You have Tia and Tamara. They're Edomites. You could tell. Some people you could tell. Some people you just know. You just know. Something not right about this brother, man. His spirit not right. And not his spirit because he always stealing, he always sneaking around, he always yelling, he always drinking, he always smoking, he always damn looting. No, the brother's spirit is just off. It's just off. You just can tell. The Lord said, let's go to the book, right, of Romans chapter 12 and verse number 6. Now, these will be spiritual gifts. In the ancient world, there would be certain men that could discern your spirit just by looking at you. You can be sitting up there, hey, what's going on? What's going on? You dap the brother up. It was good, man. I'm chilling, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Boom, boom, boom. Then y'all talking. And what you been reading, man? Isaiah, man. It's fire. Yeah, I just read that last week. All praise to the Most High, man. Hey, y'all going to get some yan after camp, man? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we going to get some yan. Then after camp, the brother pull you to the side and say, bro, what's going on with you out? Something not right. You thinking to yourself, damn, I was laughing. I was joking. I was smiling. How does he know something's wrong with me? Because he can discern your spirit. How does the Most High send somebody to you in the midst of you catching hell? And you've been laughing and joking. And you're thinking to yourself, damn, all praise to the Most High. How did he know? Or why did I get this precept out of nowhere? Why did somebody tell me to keep my head up? Because people discern spirits. And that's on a carnal level, which is still spiritual. But on a deeper level, somebody could look at you, man, and tell certain things by looking at you. That's a gift in itself. Not about on a physical aspect. The Lord said, judge not according to the appearance. Not like, okay, we have the Timberlands, the chain, it's naps. I'm not that nappy, but yeah, this brother's an Israelite. No, by the spirit that they possess, man. This is having them gifts, deferring according to the grace that is given to us. Whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the appropriation of faith. So you have different diverse spirits and telling certain things. Now with Matthew, when you go to 13 verse 24, it says, another parable put he forth unto them, saying the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which showeth good seed in his field. Now this is twofold. One fold, that man is Yahushua. The seed is the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Sowing it in the field, which is the world, to go throughout the four corners to the children of Israel that are scattered. That's one fold. Another fold is a good man, which is an Israelite man. His seed would be physically his sperm. Sowing it into the field would be a woman, because the earth is likened unto a woman. Jerusalem is likened unto a woman. Babylon's landmass is likened unto a woman. The daughter of Babylon is likened unto a woman. Woman and whoredom and certain things, the scriptures are likened it to. Women, the Lord uses women a lot with parables. When you go to Isaiah, let's go to Isaiah 66 to prove that. Go to Isaiah chapter 66, right? And verse, I'm going to start at 7. It says, before she travailed, she brought forth. Before her pains came, she was delivered a man-child. Who have heard such a thing? Who have seen such a thing? Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day? So the earth is what? It's a woman. Or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. So the earth is also likened into what? A woman. So when you read these things, a lot of what Yahushua is saying is twofold. Verse 25. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. Now, on a carnal aspect, what is men sleeping? That's in slavery. We slept. On a physical aspect, and his enemy, which is Esau, came and sowed tares among the wheat, meaning he mixed his sperm along with the righteous, which brought forth light-skinned babies, which brought forth dark-skinned babies that were Edomites, that brought forth so-called light, white-looking babies that are Edomites, right? Sowing his seed, but on a physical, like on a spiritual level, when men slept, meaning when we were in delusion, when we trusted in Christianity, Islam, when we trusted in the workings of the flesh in this world, we would sleep spiritually. His enemy, which is Satan, came, meaning he appears because he's running to and fro like a what? A raging lion, and sowed tares among the wheat. Meaning he sold his philosophies and doctrines into the mind of the simple, and went his way and departed back into the uttermost parts of the earth. Right? I'm not going to read and break down this whole thing. Probably get one or two more precepts. It says, but when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So you would have certain children like Frederick Douglass. He was known to be in history an Edomite. His father was so-called white man. But if you don't know his father and you're looking at your lineage, and then you go back one father, two father, three father, four fathers, three fathers, and you're looking at Frederick Douglass, and that's the last person you can trace back, you'll think you're an Israelite. Certain people could go back four fathers, man. Five fathers. Some people could go back two fathers. Your physical father can't necessarily determine your nationality on a deeper level. That's why the Lord said, prepare thyself for the search of thy fathers. Meaning your father, if your father was in the spirit from the foundation, he should always know his lineage to the time that you exist now. But through slavery, through witchcraft, manipulation, getting lost in this world, we have lost our identity. That's why the Lord said it is the spirit that beareth witness. That's not always just talking about an Ishmaelite lookalike. Is he Ishmael? Is he Moab? Is he Ammon? Is he Israelite? Read this to him and see what he does. It's not necessarily what that's talking about all the time. Because even there are people that look just like you that are of other nations. Tiger Woods, look at his son. He looked like an Edomite. But he's an Israelite. Tiger Woods looked like 17 different nations crammed in a jar and shaken up, right? He's an Israelite. His father's so-called dark-skinned man. You got Logic the rapper. He looks like a white man. His son looks like a pure white man. But they're Israelites. Now, nobody could tell you that this is a so-called black man. No, I don't believe that. That's a white man. He got blue eyes. But look at his son. Look at this. They're Israelites. He's an Israelite. He has blue eyes and blonde hair. So it's not off of appearance. Logic's father. This is Logic's father right here, man. He's an Israelite. So, I mean, that's plain, man. And you have certain people with that just balance of it being an opposite, right? So look at that. Look at his father in the background. He looked like a white boy. So, and then look at Logic's son. So it's going to be a lot of confusion. That's why when the fruit come up, meaning we're grown into this thing, whether it be in the spirit or out of the spirit, it is of the Lord to judge the matter, and the angels to separate the wheat from the tares. You understand? To separate from the goats and the sheep. It's like you read about Matthew, the 25th chapter. It says, I ain't going to read too much onto this, but who are they? If you don't physically know by their lineage, physically, by looking at, so like by knowing their lineage, then you can't protest who they are, man. What you would have to do, right, is have the spirit bear witness. All right, let's go to the next question. Shalom Israel is having a career like a stand-up comedian a sin. All right, let's go to it. Now, it depends on what comedy everybody isn't comical. No, I personally don't like a lot of comedians because they're wicked. And all they talk about is sex and lewdness. And women, all they talk about is men. And all men do is talk about women. And it gets me in a very upset spirit. And it angers me because I don't want to hear that. And it's wicked. Now, if you're doing righteous comedy, ain't nothing wrong with righteous comedy, man. There's certain people that were, enjoyable and laughter. You had singers in the ancient world. So there's nothing wrong with comedy, but it's what comedy and what spiritual and in comedy. Let's go to the book, Sirach chapter 32, right? And I'm going to start at verse, bear with me. Let me see what I want. And when you actually think about it, a lot of nowadays, when you deal with comedy and people, They're only talking about one thing, man. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 32 and verse 12. There take thy pastime and do what thou wilt. So the Lord said, take your pastime and do what you want to do. My pastime may be Legos, man. Just want to stack them up. It's vanity, but that's what I like doing. Is it against the law? No. Am I going to get put to death for my green Lego? No. Am I going to get beheaded because I can't leave this orange Lego alone? No. It's my pastime. A lot of people like reading, man. I like reading this book about the young man. He got a job, and he made it in the end to be a damn basketball player in the league. That was my past. That's what I like doing in my spare time, reading. A lot of people may like playing sports, basketball, football, soccer, swimming, going to the beach. That's a pastime, something you enjoy to do, but sin not by proud speech. So the Lord is saying, playing upon tables, that you can enjoy what you like to do, man. There's nothing wrong with having fun and doing hobbies. The Lord speaks about hobbies in Ecclesiastes, the 11th chapter. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 9. Rejoice, O young man, Salakia, O young man, in thy youth, and let thine heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth, and walk in the ways of thine heart. Is that talking about walk to weed, drugs, wickedness, sex, demons, clubbing? No, the ways of your heart is what you like to do. A lot of you can't tell a kid not to ride a bike, man. That's the way of his heart. You can't tell a kid not to spray each other with the hose, man. That's the way of their heart. The Lord is not just some stiff man in the third heaven that gotta attend HUD. Then the Bible just open to doom. Then the Bible was open. The Lord said you can do what you want to do, man. You can have fun. And in the sight of thine eyes, meaning walk in the sight of thine eyes. But know thou that for all these things, God will bring thee into judgment. Meaning, don't be a fool. If that comedy club you're walking into is nothing but drugs in there, and sex, and cigars, smoke, they're trying to tell you comedy jokes. So, you ever heard of King David? And you sitting up there getting secondhand smoked all night, man. You go home dizzy. You go see the doctor, and the doctor is letting you know he's pulling up the sheet. Pulling up that sheet. What? You have cancer. And you sitting up there sweating, trying to figure out why you got stage 2 cancer. Because you've been in a club telling those jokes for 3 years straight, man. And that's your judgment. So you got to be wise in what you do. So that will be dependent on the spirit that you bring forth with what you're going into. All right. Next question. Revelation 14:4. These men that were not defiled by women, did they not deal with women like eunuchs? All right, let's go to it. These aren't physical virgins. You know, it's not what this is talking about. Let's go to it. Let's go to Revelation chapter 14 and verse 4. Now, when it says they didn't deal with women, the women are the different nations. The women are the different philosophies. They were not defiled by the witchcraft that could be brought forth by a wicked woman, man. What do women do? They allure you, they trick you, they lie to you, they deceive you. And that's not all women, because a lot of righteous sisters are on fire. They're diligent, steadfast, loving, right? They cook, they sew, they clean. They're very well respected in the eyes of the Most High. But you have other women that are wicked, man. Let's go to Baruch. Let me get this quick precept. All right, if they gonna let me get the book of Baruch. Hold on, bear with me. Okay, 43. It's the book of a letter of Jeremiah. All right, jump it down to verse 43. And then all of this is talking about what when you read this whole chapter? Idols and philosophies and things that men bear up of gold and silver. It says the woman also with cords about them, sitting in the ways, burn brand for perfume. But if any of them drawn by some that pass by lie with him, she reproacheth her fellow that she was not though as worthy as herself, nor her cord broken. So why is a woman likening to the same idols or things that overthrow us as a people, man? The Lord said, wine is wicked and women are wicked. Not all women, but some women. The Lord said, what is created more wicked than the eye, for a weepeth upon every occasion? Give me your wickedness with the wickedness of a woman. So when you think of certain things on a deeper level spiritually, you know, a woman would be likened unto that, a wicked woman. Now, when it says to be defiled by him, I want to get this quick precept in the book of Song of Solomon. It's the book of Song of Solomon, or chapter 5, and I'm going to start at verse number 9. It says, what is thy beloved more than another beloved, O thou fairest among women? What is thy beloved more than another beloved, that thou doest so charge us? My beloved is white and ruddy, chiefest among 10,000. So the Lord said that the woman is chief, that his woman is chiefest among 10,000, man. And you have to understand that, how deep that is. And we're the fairest among women, meaning there are multiple women. Israel's likened unto a woman. Babylon's likened unto a woman. Ancient Babylon. Then you have the daughter of Babylon, which is likened unto a woman. The Lord called the ancient Babylon a woman also. When you go to the book of Jeremiah, let me get that quick precept. Let's go to that. I'll make this quick precept, this quick point. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter, let me see, I want 50. So women, like I said, are likened all in the scriptures. Hosea, during the time where there was whoredom in the land, that whole landmass was likened unto a woman because of all the whoredom that it brought forth. Let me get that real fast while I'm thinking about it. So when it says you're not defiled by a woman, that's the landmass you're on. That's the philosophy that you bring forth. You understand? That's even on a physical level, by whoredom. Just defiled spiritually, physically, and mentally by things to overtake you, but chiefly spiritually. This is the book of Hosea 2 and verse number 2. Plead with your mother. Plead, for she is not my wife. Neither am I her husband. Let her put away whoredom out of her sight and her adulteries from between her breasts. And what is that talking about? That's talking about the land. It's not talking about physically a bunch of whores running around. The landmass was sinning. Let's go to the book of Hosea, the first chapter, to explain that. It's the book of Hosea, chapter 1, right? And I'm going to start at verse 7, right? I'm going to start at 5. Well, I won't read too much. I'm going to start at, I don't want to read too much. But nevertheless, I'm going to just start at verse 2. The beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. And the Lord said to Hosea, go take thee a wife of the whoredoms and the children of whoredoms, for the land have committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. So how could a physical land be a whore? Because America's the great whore. Russia's a damn whore. Elam's a whore. All of these are diverse women that you can be sent to on slavery, trips, right? You could be a so-called soldier in the army. You could be God knows what, living somewhere far with an accent. These land masses are women that essentially defile the elect man if he does not repent from his sins. It's the book of Revelation chapter 14 and 4. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. Virgins just means pure, undefiled. These are they which which follow the lamb whatsoever he goeth, meaning they're submissive. The lamb go over here, they going over there. The lamb go over there, they going over there. They're not sitting up there with wanton eyes like a wicked woman. So what's this talking about? What's over there? Who that over there? What they talking about down the street? That's wantonness. On a physical level with the woman, how much more spiritually when he's supposed to be following the Lord? Whether he goeth, these were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits of God and to the Lamb. Right? Let's go to the book. Salakia, Shalom, King. Got Chauncey Walker in the building. All right, where can I link in and study with you, brothers? All right, you can hit up the Watchman for Israel 77 at gmail.com. And most I willing brothers will get back with you and we can figure out the matter. Abadya, Shalom, Malak, not really a question, just some words of encouragement. If you don't mind, whatever the Lord puts on your spirit is the Lord talking. All right? All praise to the Most High. All right, was Jethro father an Israelite or Ishmaelite? Right, when you quote things, right, go to the precept specifically to save time and the physical account, right, so I could dive into it through the spirit and go into it, right? Let's go to the book, right? Let's start at, I probably want to get this quick precept first and then dive back to that one. Let's go to Exodus, the 18th chapter. And then we're going to go back to the other precept. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 18. If this is even what you're talking about, it may not be. That's why I want brothers to be more specific with a precept, because I may go into something and that's not even what you're talking about. Then you may say, well, brother, that's not even what I'm talking about. Exodus chapter 18, and I'm going to start at verse 9. And Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which the Lord had done to Israel, to whom he had delivered out of the land of the Egyptians. And Jethro said, blessed be the Lord who have delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of Pharaoh, who have delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Now, how he's speaking is testifying against him being an Israelite. And Jethro said, blessed be the Lord. And it's nothing that you don't want to put a spirit because a heathen says, blessed be the Lord. A lot of heathens say that. They're saying it now, man. Blessed be God, for we know he is with you. They're going to cleave in the last days. It says, who have delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians. Is he talking about specifically just Noah? Specifically just Moses right here? And out of the hand of Pharaoh. Is the point. Who have delivered the people from under the Egyptians. So why wouldn't he include himself if he's an Israelite? He said he has delivered the people. Meaning he's speaking in a term, in a context to where it's testifying that he was actually there. Because all Israel got saved going through the Red Sea. Right? That's the book of 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter. Let me get that real fast. This 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse number 1. It says, moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud and passed through the sea. So each one of our fathers had passed through the sea. Can't say one of them was looking over like, damn, guess I'll get up with them a little bit later. Or somebody ran through and they swim real fast. Then they got to the other side and just waited and started civilization on the other side before Moses. So each one of our fathers, they passed through the sea. So if he's recognizing that he wasn't with them, then he could not be an Israelite. And I don't have to get 1,000 precepts on that. That's plain. All right, let's go to the next question. Ramav, can you explain a righteous man falls 7 times but gets back up? Come on. That's a mighty fire precept. All right, let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 16. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, in verse 16. For a just man falleth 7 times. How do you fall? The perfect example is Job, man. Job fell many times, but he got back up. Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 19. That show you a righteous man falling 7 times. And 7 just equals a number of completion. Salaki. This is the book of Job, chapter 19, and verse number 6. Know that God have overthrown me and have compassed me about with his net. So it said, look, the Lord, he's overthrown me, man. And when you fall down and feel like you got overthrown, your car just got repossessed, your mom just died, you're sitting up there, they're talking about firing you at work if you come one more time late in a year. Your back is against the wall. And who's doing all of this and moving the elements and having these things come to pass? The Most High, man. So you may feel like you get overthrown. But what do? You keep getting up. You keep fighting. You keep being diligent. You keep surviving. You keep pushing. That's what makes you the elect. Not giving up, man. A weak man gives up. A weak woman gives up, man. Your marriage not working out, man, call unto the Lord. Be strong in the matter. Read, pray, fast. Show the Most High why you're deserving to come out of that situation. If you're broke and you don't have any money, pray to the Most High, man. It's an easy thing in the sight of the Lord to make a poor man rich. If you just lost a loved one, understanding the Most High said, better is death than a life of continuous sickness, man. And though I be absent in the body, I'm present with the Lord. So these are precepts that comfort our hearts, even though our hearts and our flesh are going to witness against us. To have us to cry, feel bad, down, beat down, right? Tied up, ridiculed in the basement, banging to get out. That's all our minds. Our spirit should be strong. The Lord said, the classic, right? Let me get the classic. It's the book of Job, 15, right? Salaki. Get this quick precept. And two, another thing you got to understand is the Most High does that to make you stronger. It's the book of Job, chapter 13 and 15. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him, but I will maintain mine own way before him. So as you fall, only the righteous is going to get back up. Only the righteous. Notice the Lord said in verse 10, in Proverbs 24 and 10, if thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. So if you're fainting, you're not going to get back up. What does it mean when you faint? Let's look up that word. Faint. Right? Dizzy, lightheaded, weak at the knees. Right? Shaky, wobbly, off balance, woozy, dopey, trembly, passed out, blackout, collapse. So the Lord said, if you don't get back up and you faint, then your strength is actually small. So, I mean, you got to understand that, how deep that is, man. Right? So, Salakia, bear with me real fast. Khan, going to the next question. All right, Shalom King. What does the house of Shimmy represent in Zechariah 12 and 13? All right, let's go to it. This is Zechariah chapter 12 in verse. I'm going to start at 12 to get the context. Now, I did a whole in-depth entire breakdown on the second wilderness. This is going into the second wilderness. If you didn't see it, go on the Backups Cold Cut channel. Let me see if I could If I can find it. All right. Um, I will have to go into it. It's it's somewhere on the channel, King. You just gotta kind of try to go to it. Nevertheless, I did an in-depth breakdown on it. But I'll explain it for sake of time. It should be on the channel. Just go in and search for a second wilderness or in-depth breakdown, second wilderness, or what's really going to happen in the second wilderness, something to that effect. It should come up. This is Zechariah 12 and 12. And the land shall mourn. The land mourning is talking about the whole inhabitants, the men and women and children that get beamed up out of captivity. They're going to be mourning for all their sins, all the things that they've been doing in his past life that Yahweh Shah is going to bring into remembrance, right? You could read about that. And I don't want to make this an in-depth breakdown because it's an in-depth question. And it's going to really go on, for a while. But nevertheless, you have the mourning that's going to take place. In the morning, everyone's going to be mourning for their sins, their atrocities, their iniquities, every family apart. Meaning each one of these families in the second wilderness are going to be mourning. The family of the house of David. Now, David represents the elect. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 122. Let's prove that. David isn't a physical man, just a physical man. He has a representation of something. When you think of LeBron James, you don't just think of him, man. You think of basketball. I think of the Most High. I think of the scriptures, judgment. You understand? I think of love. I think of certain things that come along with it. So as David is not just a representation of anything just physical, the Lord said these are families. And families, like we just read in the Hebrew, going into tribe or nation, right? Which is spiritual. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 122, verse 1. I'm going to start at 2. Our feet shall stand within thy gates, O Jerusalem, talking about in the kingdom of heaven. Jerusalem is builded as a city that is compacted together, right? Whether the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord unto the testimony of Israel to give thanks unto the name of the Lord. For there are set thrones of judgment, the thrones of the house of David. So you have the thrones that are the house of David. So David represents what? The elect to sit on thrones. Everybody isn't going to sit on thrones in the kingdom. So that will represent the hierarchy as you read all the way down to the weakest part of men that are going to be in the wilderness. That's essentially what it's going into. It starts off with David. Then it goes to Nathan. Then it goes to Levi. Then it goes to Shimmy, which is spiritual. David is the highest. You understand? He represents the elect and their wives coming from the house of David, like Mary. Then you're going to have the house of Nathan. Nathan was very, very wise. He will represent the prophets. Just because you're a prophet doesn't mean you're the elect. You're going to have a lot of men that are out there on the highways and byways shaking a hand, and they're not going to be the elect. The elect are the 144,000. What if that man wasn't a virgin? What if he defiled himself in the dark, but right before the Lord came back, he repented from his sins, but still had blots on his garment, which was not all white and clean? Now, that doesn't negate him from the kingdom. That's up to the Most High to show mercy on whom he showed mercy and compassion on whom he showed compassion. And their wives apart, right? The family of the house of Levi. But let me get a quick precept on Nathan for brothers that may not know. Let's go to 2 Samuel, the 7th chapter. This is 2 Samuel chapter 7, and I'm going to start at 2. That the king said unto Nathan the prophet. Who is the king? David is the king, man. If David has a prophet, you know this man is the truth, man. You know he's that, man. Gad the seer, Nathan the prophet, right? Solomon had counselors. These wasn't just men walking around with their hands behind their backs, man, looking in the eyes, looking in the sky, trying to figure out when it's going to rain or not, man. These were men of understanding and counsel, sent and created to assist the king from the foundation of the earth. It says, see now, I dwell in the house of cedar, but the ark of God dwelleth in the courts, within courts. So when David went off, who rebuked him? Nathan. And that's a real high level, to be able to rebuke a man as high as David, right? It's the book of 2 Samuel chapter 12 and verse 1. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David. So out of all of the men on the earth, the Most High sent Nathan, which is spiritual. Who does the Lord send before judgment? The prophets. Who does the Lord send before he destroys you or kills you, like he did David's son? The prophets. The prophets represent Nathan. Then you will have their wives apart, the family of the house of Levi. Now, Levi will represent a teacher or a priest or a leader. Let's go to the book, I believe Luke, the 10th chapter. Let me get this quick precept real fast. Yeah, that's what I want. Let's go to Luke, the 10th chapter. So all of these different diverse men, they have a spirit and a family that they represent in the wilderness, which will only be the whole class of Israel. So if you're looking at these scriptures, you'll fit into one of these. And you don't want to be Shimmy. And we're going to go into it. It's the book of Luke chapter 10, right? And I'm going to start at 30. It says, and Yahushua answering said, a man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves. So, and that's what we did as a nation, man. We fell. And we dwelling among thieves. Because our homeland is Jerusalem, where there's water out of our own cisterns, which is spiritual. We're drinking water on a physical level from Babylon, man. What do you think it's doing to our minds and our bodies? How much more spiritual water? Their understanding and philosophies from that cistern that they're pumping, that's mixed with dirt, zinc, dust, lies, fornication, idolatry, witchcraft, workings of the flesh, and went to Jericho. What is a certain man doing going to Jericho, man? That's off. You're just wandering around. What's his reasoning to go into Jericho? When he left his hometown, he got stripped and beaten and fell among thieves. What happens when you leave your hometown? You got a lot of people now, they call tourists, and people prey on tourists. Look at him, he got a camera in his hand, he's taking a picture. I don't even know where he at. Yeah. You go over there, and you go over there. My father told me a long time ago, he went to, I forgot where he said he went, to some island. And he went with his friends. And he said some kids came up to him, and they was juggling. And he said they started juggling, and my father was looking at him, and he gave him $1. And $1 to some of these countries is like gold, man. $1 could be like $20 up here, $50 up here. And he said the kids kept following him and kept juggling. And my father was like, all right. Then they kept following and kept juggling. Just jug like a clown. Just keep juggling. Wouldn't stop juggling. My father was like, all right. He gave him another $1. Then they kept following him. And then my father said he looked up and he seen somebody watching him give $2 to the kids. And he already knew what it was from there. So people watch you, man. They'll send kids. They'll send elders. They'll send anybody to strip you. How much more these nations? They send their political leaders. They send their presidents. They send their so-called missionary schools and doctrines and books. And they stick them in your face. And what do? When you leave your understanding of what you have, you fall among thieves. Who are the thieves? The nations, the philosophies and doctrines, which stripped him of his raiment. What's your raiment? Your spirit, your understanding, which is supposed to be put on of the armor of God, and wounded him and departed, leaving him half dead. So you'll be half dead in this land. Meaning you kind of know who you are, you kind of don't. Am I black? Am I African American? Do I want to live anymore? I'm half alive, I'm half dead. And by chance, there came down a certain priest that way. And when he saw him, he passed on the other side. And what are the priests so-called sent for, man? To help the people, to make intercession for them. And likewise, a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him and passed on the other side. And why does it say the Levite did? Because a Levite's a representation of a priest, a man in a position to help you, to offer up sacrifices for your sin. You understand? To help make intercessions before the Lord. I mean, if you think your wife is cheating, you don't know what to do, you will go up to the priest. He's sent to help you and lead you, but they all passed on. So you have the house of Levi. That isn't physically talking about the physical Levites. Going back to Zechariah, right? Chapter 12 and verse number 13. The family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart, and the family of Shimmy apart. Now, what does Shimmy represent? Shimmy represents you just made it. You just made it. That's literally what he represents. You just made it. Let's go to the book of Second Samuel 16. You know when the door is closed and then you run in and then you damn what is this called? A hoodie. Your hoodie gets caught in the door, man. And you're trying to rip it out before the elevator goes up. It's the book of 2 Kings, chapter 16. And I'm going to start at verse number 5. It says, then risen king of Syria, Salakia. I'm in 2 Kings. Let me get 2 Samuel. I'm going to start at 5. It says, and when King David came to Bethlehem, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimmy, the son of Gerah. He came forth and cursed still as he came. I mean, he's cursing at David, man. He's cursing at the king. Now, what could David do in this situation? He could kill him. He can banish him. He can kind of do whatever he wants to do in righteousness because he's coming up against the king. And he cast stones at David. And David isn't just anybody walking down the street. He's the king. And he's a mighty man. He's throwing stones at him. And at all his servants of David, and all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left hand. Right? So on his left. That's essentially like scoffing, coming up against the righteous. And thus said Shimmy, when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, thou man of Baal. Not only is Shimmy scoffing and cursing the righteous, which is off. The Lord said in the book of Genesis, he will curse them that curse you and bless them that bless you. That come from Abraham. So who are you to come up against the righteous, man? It's Genesis chapter 12 and 3. And I will bless them that bless thee and curse them that curse thee. You may not be cursed now. You may not be cursed tomorrow. But you come against the righteous that's in the palm of the Most High's hand, he going to get up with you. Not only did he curse him, he called him a bloody man of Baal. Where's the account of David offering up sacrifices to the spiritual demon Satan? There isn't one. So also he's bearing false witness. The Lord have returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou reign. And the Lord have delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. Now he's egging on David. Behold, thou art taken in thy mischief, because thou art a bloody man. And what is his soldier say? And his army. Then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto the king, why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. Say, like, let me kill this man. Let's see what David says. And I'm going to read about 2 more, and I'm going to stop right here. And the king said, what have I to do with you, son of Uriah? Meaning, what are you doing? I have no problem with you. He didn't say seize on him, kill him. David showed him mercy. So let him curse, because the Lord hath said unto him, curse David. Who shall then say, wherefore hast thou done so? Then David said unto Abishai, to all his servants, check this out. Behold, my son, which came forth out of my bowels, seek my own life. Right, so like I'm gonna rest right there. So he left it alone. Right now, jumping down to verse 13, it says, and David and his men went by the way. Shimmy went along on the hillside over against him and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him and cast dust. So he's continuously mocking, bearing false witness, going off. And David did what? He showed them mercy. Now, what happens essentially when judgment comes to pass upon you from the Lord? You die. Let's go to the book of 1 Kings, the second chapter. This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 2, and verse 38. And Shimmy said unto the king, Slaki, I'm going to start at 36. Right, to explain who the house of Shimmy is. Right, I said all that to get to the point, but I wanted to further in-depthly break it down in case there was somebody else on the live that didn't know. It says, and the king sent and called for Shimmy. Who is the king? Solomon. He's calling for Shimmy, who is Shimmy, a servant, and said unto him, build thee an house in Jerusalem, and dwell there, and go not forth thence anywhere. So Solomon told Shimmy not to go anywhere, but to build the house. What does Shimmy essentially do? For it shall be that on the day that thou goest and pass over the brook Cauldron, that thou shalt know for certainty that thou shalt surely die, and that blood shall be upon thy own head. So if you rebel and leave Jerusalem, then you're going to die. And Shimmy said unto the king, the saying is good. As my lord, the king, have said, so will thy servant do. And Shimmy dwelt in Jerusalem many days. And it came to pass at the end of 3 years, which is spiritual. 3 is a number of completion. At the end of 3 years, that 2 of the servants of Shimmy ran away unto Ashash, son of Makkah, king of Gath. And they told Shimmy, saying, behold, thy servants being God. And Shimmy arose and saddled his ass and went to Gath, to Ashah, to seek his servant. And Shimmy went and brought his servants from Gath. And it was told Solomon that Shimmy had gone forth from Jerusalem to Gath and was come again. And the king sent and called for Shimmy and said unto him, check this out. Did I not make thee to swear by the Lord and to protest unto thee, saying, know thou for certainty that on the day that thou goest and walkest abroad any whither, that thou shalt surely die? And he said unto me, the word that I have heard is good. Why then hast thou not kept the oath of the Lord and the commandment that I have charged you with? The king said, moreover to Shimmy, thou knowest all the wickedness which thine heart is privy to, that thou didst to David my father. So now Solomon like, you know what? You are wicked, man. We gave you mercy. We let you slide. I let you be in the kingdom. You're not listening to me. You curse my father. You're reprobate. You don't listen even when you have mercy. You know what? You have to die, man. He will be a representation of people that rebel in the kingdom. So like a rebel in the wilderness, man. It says, therefore, the Lord shall return thy wickedness upon thine own head. Let's go to the book of Zechariah, the 13th chapter. So you're going to have certain people that rebel in the wilderness, man. They're going to go off. Zechariah chapter 13 and verse number 1. In that day, which is the day in the wilderness, shall be a fountain open. Meaning what? That's when you pass through the bond of covenant. That's when you get the laws in your inward parts. That's when you're perfected, not only with a spiritual body being beamed up, coming back down in the wilderness, but also with perfect understanding. In that day, there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Meaning David will be the elect, the inhabitants of Jerusalem will be everybody else that was classified in the 12th chapter. For sin and for uncleanness, meaning we should be purified. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land. Then he's going to cleanse Jerusalem from all Amalek, blood, witchcraft, sorcery, idols, and they shall no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirits to pass out of the land. So every false prophet, Everybody that's ever lied, the Lord is going to kill them in the wilderness. And he's going to pass them and get rid of them out of the land. Every unclean spirit. Right? Now, I'm not going to read all the way down for sake of time. But nevertheless, let's go to the next question. Right? Kalo Yasha'Allah, can you explain the hell fable? What is hell? Where is it? All right, that's a good question. Let's go to it. Right? So first and foremost, there's no such thing as a physical place called hell. Now you may ask yourself and say, well, how do we know that? Let's go to it. What happened in the Song of the Three Holy Children? They were in a physical place that was on earth. You can read about that in Daniel, the 3rd chapter, when they were in the midst of the furnace. Now, being in the midst of the furnace was on earth. Now, what did the three holy children call the furnace and condition that they were in? Let's go to the book of the Song of the Three Holy Children, verse 66. Right? Salakia. I'm going to start at 65. O Ananias, Azarias, and Mishael, blessed be the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. For he hath delivered us from hell. So why are the three holy children saying that they got delivered from hell? I thought hell was a physical place underground that you get sticked and beat and whooped and tortured forever. You know what that is? It's a fable, man. Now, when you look up the word hell, it says in religion, a folklore. It's saying it's a folklore. What's folklore?
Folklore.
Mythological. Tradition. Legends. Fable. Even a white man is telling you this. Old wise tales. That's what it's saying a folklore is. They're even telling you that on Wikipedia. Even a white man knows this is a lie. Look at this, man. One thing, and I'm going to go through the cuts on hell, but one thing you have to realize is the Most High gave man the understanding and in-depth understanding of the creation from Genesis. He talked about the landmass. He talked about the people, the mankind. He talked about the animals. He talked about the waters. He talked about the firmament. Where's the account of the Most High creating the underground abyss? Where you're thrown in a pot, man, and you just cooked. And you're just pushed in this underground place of torture. It's a folklore. And another cut, without even going to the precepts, and we're going to go to the precepts. Another cut is, I thought you can't die unless you're immortal. Where's the account of the Lord making wicked men immortal? I thought the Lord said righteousness was immortal in the book of Wisdom of Solomon 1 and verse 15. So if righteousness is immortal, how could the wicked live forever? Because I don't know any carnal man that sins that could be burned forever and not die, unless you had an immortal body, which the Lord is only given to the saints, which make no sense. These wicked books that people pick up, which are wise fables that they try to jam as missing books of the Apocrypha and books of the Bible, you got to let all of that go when you're coming into this truth, because it'll overtake you and manipulate your mind and have you believe in God knows what. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 15. The Lord said, for righteousness is immortal. So if you're not righteous, you're not going to live forever. The nations in the kingdom, they're going to die. They're going to live their allotted life to the Most High, take their spirit. They're going to come right back on earth, right, through seed. And that's the life they're going to live while we live forever, while they're our property, man. Now, let's go to another precept. Let's go to Revelation, the 20th chapter. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 20. All right, get this quick precept. And verse 14. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 20 and verse 14. I'm going to start at 13. I'm going to start at 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged out of those things. The book of life is nothing more than a book with everybody's name in it that is elected from the foundation of the earth, which were written in the books according to their works. So there are multiple books. There's a book of your members, a book of your sins, the book of life. These are all the diverse books the Lord has in the third heaven. And the sea gave up the dead, meaning what? All of the spirits of the dead bodies are going to raise out of the seas. All of the dead slaves, men that tripped and fell overboard, men boat that sank, and all of the bones, the Lord is going to raise them up for their judgment, whether it be immortality or whether it be destruction and weeping and gnashing of teeth. And death and hell delivered up the dead. Hold on. When the Lord's coming to judge the earth, death and hell are delivering up the dead. How can you be dead in hell? I'm gonna read that again. And death and hell delivered up the dead. I thought when you're dead, and when you're in hell, you're going like this, like those damn balloons, man, in front of the car dealership. The car dealership balloons, man. Let me get that. What do you call those, man? The damn blowy men, the dancing man. I don't know what you call that, man. There you go. I thought you just going like this in the fire, man. Just catching hell. The Lord said that the dead is going to give up in hell. It's not talking about these balloons. And you just dancing around in the fire, alive, then you die in the fire, then you come up out of the fire. It's madness. Now, hell means Shiloh or Hades, which means the ground and death and grave. So when it says in death and hell just means the ground. Like I said, Shiloh or Hades and the Hebrew or the Greek is going to it. Matter of fact, let's just go to Revelation 20. Let's see what that word means in the Greek. Hades, right? Now they say the God of the lower regions because they have their folklore attached to what the meaning of hell is. But it literally means grave. That's what hell means, grave. Now, a lot of Esau and his philosophies, you have zombies, you got all of these different lies that come about, which is not of the truth. The Lord tells you there's no such thing as zombies in Job, the 7th chapter. Let me get this real fast. Because a lot of people think that zombies are going to come out of the grave, or you died, then you go to hell, then you live forever, and you come back up, or just confusion. The Lord said, it's the book of Job, chapter 7 and 4. When I lie down, I say, when shall I arise? Then night go, and I am full of tossing. Right, Salakia. I think I'm at the 9th chapter. I want to get this quick precept in Job. Yeah, it was the 7th chapter, Salakia. It's the book of Job, chapter 7 and 7. Yeah, I was going to just read all the way down. In verse number 7. Oh, remember that my life is wind. What does it mean by your life is wind? Meaning it's here one moment and it's gone the next. Mine eyes shall see no more good. The eye of him that have seen me shall see me no more. Meaning what? When you're gone, you're gone. You're not coming back up in the flesh as a zombie. You're not coming back up and you die and you stay in this body forever and you're in the grave. Then you're going to just come back up and out of hell and nobody's going to see you ever again. You're either going to be raised incorruptible or raised to destruction. Thine eyes are upon me and I am not. So hell is a physical condition or it's the grave. I'll give you another precept on it being a condition. Let's go to Isaiah, the 5th chapter. Isaiah chapter 5 and 13. All right, it says, therefore my people are gone into captivity. What is captivity? A condition. Because they have no knowledge. And their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore, hell have enlarged herself. So why is hell enlarging herself? What is hell? The grave, a condition, death. That's literally captivity. Being in that furnace with the three holy children, that was a condition, that was hell, man. Hey, Jake say all the time, I'm catching hell, man. That's physically something they were saying thousands of years ago, man. Because it's in our spirit to say these things. Esau don't say I'm catching hell. I'm catching hell. He may say it like that because his damn pencil ran out of the lead, man. And he has to go to CVS on his break. And on his break, he was going to watch God knows what in a dark alley. But his plans got overthrown because he needs a pencil from CVS. So he screams out, I'm catching hell. But Jake, when he loses his job, when he gets shot at, when we go into captivity, that's hell. These are the conditions what the Heavenly Father is talking about when he's talking about hell. So what is it? It means Hades or Shiloh, which is in the Hebrew or Greek, right? Hades, Shiloh, which is a grave or a condition. And yes, it is a fable created by the so-called white man. Jan, even Mary rested on the Sabbath day before checking on the Lord after the resurrection. All right. Dasha Allah, Yachad. If Edomites can't be saved, why in Revelations 2 and 13 is Antipas the Edomite faithful martyr? Well, that's where you're mistaken, King. Because Antipas was a bishop over the church, right? When you going into it. So when you go into Revelations, the 2nd chapter, right? You have Pergamos, which was where Satan's seat was, which was during the Roman Empire. Antipas was the bishop, which was an Israelite. Who can only be a bishop? The Israelites. There's no Edomite bishops when you go into the history. Now, let's go to Revelation. So history might tell you, as you go on Google, and you see Noah White, David White, Howard Shai White, don't let that fool you. Or hearing terms like Roman Empire, right? Antipas was an Israelite, but we're going to prove it. Let's go to Revelation chapter 2 in verse, I'm going to start at 12. It says, and to the angel of the church of Pergamos, write, these things saith he which hath the sharp sword with two edges. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is. Where is Satan's seat? The Roman Empire. Chiefly in the Roman Empire, what was the capital of wickedness, like Las Vegas would be, like New York City would be, like DC would be, a Babylon, that would be Pergamos. And thou holdest fast my name, and has not denied my faith. What does it mean thou holdest fast my name? Meaning when they was doing cutting off and persecutions in the Roman Empire, you had certain men that stand strong for the faith of the Lord. Even in those days where Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth. Now, for brothers that don't know, let's get it. Well, this is what they would say Antipas is, right? A so-called white man. Of course they would. Antipas wasn't a so-called white man. Anybody that gets martyred for the Lord, they're an Israelite. Who were Salakia? Now, it says, who is Antipas? Now, a lot of these links, I most definitely would like to look at before clicking them because it's a lot of folly and uneducated men that write these things. But I have a breakdown on Antipas and the seven churches. I'm not at home right now through the Spirit to have all my books with me. But nevertheless, Antipas was during the Roman Empire and he wasn't an Edomite. Everybody that's a martyr for the Lord, there's no white man that's going to die for the Lord, man. How do we know that? Because the Lord told you that they're not going to repent in the book of Revelation, the 16th chapter. So if they're not going to repent, how could they die for the Lord when Babylon gets destroyed? The Lord said they are not going to repent for their sins. So if they're not going to repent, how much more will they put up their own body to be a living sacrifice? Let's go to Revelation chapter 16 and 19. It says, and that great city was divided into three parts. That great city is Babylon, divided into three parts, meaning a totality of destruction. And the city of the nations fell, right? And great Babylon came in remembrance before God, meaning her judgment, to give unto her the cup of wine, which is the fierceness of his wrath, meaning to be drunken with the blood that you got drunk off of with the saints. And every isle fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men, right, every stone about the weight of a talent, and men blasphemed God. So when the Lord was finishing off the destruction, that's like you being tortured in a chair, right? And all of these different things. You're getting tortured in a chair, and you're just not giving up. You're not giving up. And then you just keep getting chopped down and chopped down and chopped down to the point where it's just over with. And men blaspheme God of the plague of hell, and the plague thereof was exceedingly great. So this will be the only so-called white man in history that would have died for the Lord. But why did the Lord say in the book of Psalms, chapter 53? Let me get this quick precept. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 53, and verse number 1. The fool saith in his heart, there is no God. Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquity. There is none that doeth good. God looketh down from heaven upon the children of men, to see if there were any that did understand and seek God. Who are the children of men? The nations. We are the sons of God. They are the children of men. The Lord is posing a question. As he's searching out the whole inhabitants of the earth, is there any one just children of men? Every one of them is gone back. Let me read that again. Every one of them is gone back. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Had the workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eat up my people as they eat bread, and have not called upon God. So if the workers of iniquity, which is the so-called white man, the children of men, which is an umbrella of all the nations, if the Most High is saying that there's not one of them created that can do good, how is there one in the book of Revelation that's dying for the Lord? That's a bishop over the church of Pergamos, which is a representation of the seven churches with representation of the elect. 7 is a number of completion. Out of all the Israelites on earth during the Roman Empire, the Lord only wrote through the hand of John to these 7 churches will represent the elect. Out of the 7, only 2 were blameless, which didn't get rebuked from the Lord. When you diving into the book of Revelations, there's a spirit behind it. These churches in these diverse places, whether it be Turkey, Asia Minor, all of these different things, even though Turkey now today, Iraq, whatever the case may be, there's a large amount of Edomites that dwell there. That does not mean that these mighty men of old, the martyrs, the kings, the bishops, the leaders, the prophets, that they were ever Edomites or ever in the same breath that the Lord speak about the children of men with the children of Israel. The Lord said, amongst the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue, man. Can't nobody come up or say anything about them. Now, when you go to Revelations, the first chapter, it depthly tells you about the 7 churches. Now, I'm going to start at 11, then I'm going to jump down to 20. It says, it's the book of Revelations 1 and 11, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, meaning beginning and end in Greek, the first and the last, the firstborn son and the last. And thou, so like what thou seest right in the book and send it into the 7 churches, which are in Asia, right? Unto Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, Darius, Sardius, Philadelphia, and Laodicea, which was real close to the church, right, of Colossians when you read the scriptures. Ephesians, which dealt with a lot of sorcery and idolatry, right? So all of these different churches, they got a spirit behind it. Pergamos, where Satan's seat is, they all have a different spirit, just like Colossians, that church, or Philadelphia, right? All these different churches, Ephesus. As you read the epistles, Paul was sent there to correct and charge those men according to their sins, what they were doing, to correct them. It says, jumping down to verse, and it makes no sense when you read it in context. It says, and I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. So who's likened to the 7 golden candlesticks? The churches. Because each one of these candlesticks will representate out of the 7 churches, along with the Most High's 7 spirits, along with the innumerable amount of spirits, along with the Most High spirit being always on fire. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man. So when did the Son of Man come out of any nation other than Israel for them to be a part of this church? When literally the word church, let's go to it. And the Lord wouldn't call the so-called white man faithful. Let's see what the word church means. A gathering of citizens called from their homes, right? It says an assembly of the Israelites. What is a church called? An assembly of the Israelites. So if you're going to have a church and the Lord's coming without from beneath this church, in the midst of this church, he will only be shown into Israel, for Israel, can save Israel, and has anything to do with no other nation but Israel. Right? Now, when you're going into these things, that's why you have to go to the precepts. That's why you got to go to the precepts. All right, Amaziah, Yahweh, is badger unclean? If so, in the book of Exodus 35, 13, Salakia 23, they brought forth badger skin, but if it's unclean, Leviticus 11, we can't touch the unclean animals. So how were they able to bring it the water? All right, let's go to the book of Leviticus 11 and 2. It's the book of Leviticus 11 and 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on earth. So the Lord tells you what you can eat and what you can't eat. Now, with that being said, I want to get this quick precept in the book of Judges, chapter 13. Salakia, chapter 14. It's the book of Judges, chapter 14. And I'm going to start at 14. Well, it's the book of Judges 14 and 14. And he said unto them, out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweet, and they could not in 3 days expound the riddle. Right? So what specifically was he talking about? Let's go to verse 9. It says, and he took thereon in his hands and went on eating, and came to his father and his mother. Shalaki, I'm gonna start at verse 8. And after a time he returned to take her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion. And behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. And he took thereof in his hand and went on eating. and came to his father and mother, and he gave them, and they did eat. Now these are men and women of the Lord. Angels appeared unto his mother, but he told not them that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. Right? So his father went down into the woman, and Samson made there a feast, for so used the young men to do. So he made a riddle, and he took the lion. Right now, touching a dead beast in some contexts is clean, but other contexts is not. When the Lord killed Salakia, when David killed the lion, immediately after him touching it, is he now just unclean? He's just filthy in the eyes of the Lord. You have certain contexts where you're doing things for righteousness' sake. Right? Let's go to those precepts. Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 40. Salakia. 42. Sirach, chapter 42. And I'm going to start at Salakia. 143. Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 40. Salakia, bear with me. $47, that's what I want. And it reads, after him rose up Nathan to prophesy in the time of David, as is the fat taken away from the peace offering. So was David chosen out of the children of Israel. He played with lions as kids, and with bears as with lambs. Slew he not giant when he was yet but young? And did he not take away reproach from the people when he lifted up his hand and a stone and a sling and beat down the boasting Goliath? So David destroyed and killed, beasts that were unclean. Was he killing them to eat them? Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel, right? Chapter 17 and 32. Shalaki, bear with me. Probably start up a little bit earlier. Right? I'm going to start at 34. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went after him and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, smote him, and slew him. So when you go to Matthew, the 4th chapter, Salakia, the 3rd chapter, it explains that John the Baptist, he had on a raiment of camel's hair. Now, camel, when you go to a camel's toes, let's go to it. Oh my goodness. Salakia. Esau, man. You can't even pull up. This place is finished. Camel the animal toes. Salakia. So a camel has toes. It doesn't have hooves. So this would be an unclean animal. So is John off for walking around with camel on? This will be an unclean creature. Although it has split, it doesn't have hooves, it has toes. Right? So going back to Matthew chapter 3 and verse 4, says, and the same time, John had his raiment of camel's hair and a leather girt about his loins. Now, what is leather? And you have somebody in the Bible called Simon the Tanner when you go into it. And we can get that next. It says, although leather is often made out of cow skin, it can also be made from the skin of pigs, goats, sheep, dogs, cats, as well as crocodiles, ostriches, right, and exotic animals. So when you're putting something on, it could be snake skin, You don't know what the hell you really putting on. It just says leather. Now, you have to know the spirit behind when the Lord said touching these unclean animals. The Canaanites were dealing with blood. The Canaanites and different nations, they would wear them and they would act like those creatures and take on those attributes of those animals. It's more spiritual, than anything, right? I want to get this quick precept. Acts, the 10th chapter. It says, he lodged with one Simon, a tanner. Now, what is a tanner? A tanner's job. Check this out. A tanner's job is someone whose job is making leather from animals. So we had all type of diverse jobs in the ancient world. We had shepherds, we had tanners, we had publicans, right? We deal with taxes. We have all type. We had fishermen, right? All of these different things are a representation of diverse jobs that certain men had in the ancient world. Now your tanners now. See if they got a picture. Salaki. So-called ancient world. Because we didn't just know how to do everything in the ancient world. The woman, she knew how to sew. She was making her husband sheep skin, and he's putting it on, and she just was a jack of all trades. Now, yeah, some people they had vineyards, they dealt with the fruit. Certain people they sewed upon a spindle. Certain people that had wells, which brought forth water. We all was a society of people that had a lot of different trades amongst ourselves. So as the Lord, through the hand of Bezalel, in the book of Exodus, chapter 31, let me get this quick precept too. And two, I want to get 2 Kings, the first chapter also. Just thinking about this other precept. It's 2 Kings chapter 1 and verse number 8. 2 Kings 1 and 8. And they answered him, he was an hairy man and girt with a girdle of leather. Talking about Elijah, about his loins. And he said, it is Elijah, the Tishbite. So leather, different animals like camels. Samson, he dealt with the lion. David, he killed the lion. You have a lot of accounts of unclean creatures that have been touched, worn rather. So you have to look at it in the proper context of what it says. This is for the temple, man. This is for the Most High. There's certain things the priest can do that we can't do, or men can do that we can't do. Let's get that real fast in the book of Matthew, real fast. Just to go into that account, the 12th chapter. So the priest can, they can, we're about to read it. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 12, and verse number 4. It says, I'm going to start at 3. It says, but he said unto them, have ye not read what David did when he was in hunger, and they that were with him, how he entered into the house of God and did eat the shewbread, which is not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only the priests? Or have ye not read in the law, right? Salakia, I'm going to start up. I'm going to get the point. I'm going to start it. I don't want to read too much. I'm going to just start at verse 1. Salakia. It says, at that time, Yahushua went on a Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were in hunger and began to eat, and pluck the ears of corn and to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon a Sabbath day. So like, what are they doing? They're essentially going off. It says, verse 5, or have you not read in the law how that on the Sabbath day the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath day? Now, these men don't physically profane the Sabbath day and are blameless. How are you blameless and profane the Sabbath day? When it says profane the Sabbath day, meaning they have to burn and do work in the temple. They have to bring up sacrifices. They have to grab animals. They have to split them in half. They have to burn them. They have to take the ashes. Those things may bring forth sweat. So, I mean, there's certain, like Yahushua, when he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, he missed a new moon. Man is commanded to eat and feast, but Yahushua wasn't feasting. There are 30 days in a month. So certain things are above your understanding or above how the Most High moves with certain things. The priests have to work on the Sabbath day. Yahushua didn't keep the new moon for one occasion. That doesn't mean that these things were off, but it's higher than certain responsibilities that the Most High gives for a certain time, which is more spiritual than anything. We can't say the Most High rests on the Sabbath day because if he were to not do anything, we would all die. His incorruptible spirit is within all things, like Wisdom of Solomon 12:1 says. So when it says he rests, it's for our learning's sake. So work has to be done 24/7. The Lord breathes breath into us every single day to be able to conduct, move, breathe, walk, understand, read. So when you're going into these things, I'm going to get Exodus, the 31st chapter. Right? It's the book of Exodus, chapter 31, verse 2. Seeing I have called by name Bezalel, the son of Uriah, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And I have filled him with the spirit of God in wisdom and in understanding and in knowledge and in all manner of workmanship, to devise cunning works, to work in gold and silver and brass, and in cutting of stone, to set them in the carving of timber, and to work in all manner of workmanship. So certain men were commanded to work in all manner of workmanship, to do certain things, and the Most High, as he has it laid out, is all spiritual, and you have to do what is written. Now, the Lord didn't command you to eat unclean food. It isn't saying anything contradicting the scriptures. It's just for the greater of the law and the mapping out of the temple. Right? All right, next question. They say there are more than two Maccabees. Do we acknowledge all of them or just two? I believe the total was five, if not mistaken. Right? Well, the King James Version Bible only comes with two. To dig into the fifth book of Maccabees, which is not biblical, nor was associated with the Apocrypha, we can't dive into. Now, with that being said, let me get this quick precept. Let's go to 2 Maccabees, the second chapter. Chapter 2 and verse 23. It says, all these things I say, being declared by Jason of Cyrene in 5 books, we will estate to abridge in 1 volume. So a lot of people may take this and say, well, there is 5 books. There is da da da, ba 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 ba. But in the ancient world, you had scrolls. They didn't have go to the book of Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 5. They didn't have that. How do we know that? Let's go to the book of, where do we want to go? Thinking of 2 precepts. But nevertheless, let's get Luke. I think that's a better precept. Let's go to Luke chapter 4 and 18, the classic. It says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he have anointed me to preach. Right, so like I'm gonna start at 17. And there was delivered unto him in the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened the book, he found in the place where it was written. And it say he went to the chapter and the verse. He found in a place. Because we had scrolls. He didn't have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, verse 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Give me the book of Exodus, chapter 9, verse 5. He had to find in a place. Like you had the prologue of Sirach or the prayer of Manasseh. In the ancient world, it was written like that. So when it says 5 books stayed to abridge in one volume, that one volume was broken up, right, into 2 books. Because I could have, 19 books that I've written out, but I'm staying it into one volume. So you have to understand how and why certain people say what they say. Now you may go to a lot of strange sites or whatever the case may be, and it may stay you to believe certain things, but nevertheless, right, we're doing what is written, which the Most High gave us, which is the Bible, right, King James Version, and the Apocrypha. And you don't want to travel outside of what is written. All right. Let's go to another priest. Salaki, let's go to another question. How do you let go of worldly friends? Okay, that's a good question. How do you let go of worldly friends? Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 101. You have to make your mind up. Do you want to be allured by the things that they're into? Because the Lord said, he that, matter of fact, that's a better precept. Let me get this quick precept in the book of Sirach, chapter 6. It's the book of Sirach, right, chapter 6. And I'm going to start at 17. Whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendships upright. For as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. So whatever your friend is doing, wherever the places your friend is at, whatever your friend likes to get into and trip into and dabble in, you're going to be right along also. You may not particularly do exactly what they're doing, but everybody probably had a friend that smoked weed before. You're getting secondhand smoke. You're a partaker of their sin. Somebody's having a damn bachelor party and you're just going for support. I show up. Yeah, all right. And you're in the midst of confusion and lust. You may not be partaking in it, dancing and going the hell off, but you're there also. You may be in the backseat of the car, somebody trying to rob a liquor store. Man, y'all hurry up, man. You playing your Game Boy in the back. When the police come, they're going to tackle you down too. They're going to put that rope around your neck and hang you, man. Because you were there also. You got people that you got manslaughter, first-degree murder, second-degree murder, premeditated murder. They're all type of things to catch you with because you were there. So the Lord said, if wherever you are, that's where your neighbor is going to be also. When you go to the book of Psalms, chapter 101, and verse number 2, David said, I will behave myself wisely in a perfect way. Oh, when without coming to me, I will walk in my house with a perfect heart. I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. A wicked thing is a man, woman, child, doctrine, a place. Anywhere you go could be a wicked thing, man. It could be something carnal and tangible that you could touch. Or it could be something abstract, man, like a dream, an admiration, a thought, a desire. David said, I'm not setting these things before my physical eyes to lust and want after. I hate the work of them that turn aside. David said he hate men, man. He actually hates to be around certain people. You got to hate to be around certain things, man. If you don't hate to be around that wicked man or woman, they're going to eventually seduce you. Now, that woman is going to whip out some red heels and put them on and put cocoa butter and oil on her face and all type of perfumes and lay rose petals down and lead you. That's not how that's going to happen. It's going to happen in the form of peer pressure. It's going to happen in the form of, damn, man, you ain't who you used to be. It's gonna happen to the point where, nah, he ain't gonna come anyways. Where y'all going? Who ain't coming? Who said I ain't coming? Right? You start them getting seduced. And now they have you on an invisible rope, tying you and leading you as if they're your pet, man. It says, I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave unto me. A forward heart shall depart from me. I will not know a wicked person. David said, look, if you're not righteous, don't be around me, man. Don't come around me. Don't talk to me. Don't visit me. Don't call me. Don't know me. Don't speak to me. None of those things, man. Because I'm not going around the wicked. That was his mind state. So how do you let them go? This is what you do. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Well, brother, straight up, anybody would be a fool to pick their carnal friends over the fear of the Most High and what is written. You cannot cleave, be a part of, or attach yourself to these things. If you are, next time they call you and you pick up or you go out and you're with them, know deep down within your spirit the Most High is looking at you like a fool. And before I care what man thinks, how he'll laugh at me, how he'll joke about me, how he'll despise me, you have to care about what the Most High says, man. The Lord said in the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 10, let me get this quick precept. Blessed are they which persecute you for righteousness' sake. So the Lord said, man, people are going to be persecuting you. That's physically being beheaded. And that's also talking about the way they speak to you and talk to you and persecute you and not want to be with you. He changed. He ain't S word. He ain't this. He ain't that. And you're taking this shameful thing and enduring it for the Most High and for his son. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you. If you got all your friends, nobody's reviling you. It's not talking about the Moabite man all the time. Get out the mic throat and get those fringes out. And you sitting up there, yeah, shaking your fringes as you leaving the store, man. That's not what that's talking about. It says, blessed are ye when men shall revile you. And who's going to revile you? Your mother, your father, your brother, your own wife, maybe, man, by falling out the truth. They'll start to revile you and hate you and persecute you and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely. Like, man, this nigga ain't hard, man. He ain't from the hood. This nigga ain't who he think he was. And man, they start calling you out your name, belittling you, speaking evil against you. It happened to all of us, man. Hey, get down with the righteous. The Lord say, he that is troubled, come rest with us, man. Let me get this quick precept, man. 1 Thessalonians. So like it's 2 Thessalonians 1 and 7. I'm going to get this quick precept before I go back to that. You got to rest with the righteous, brother. That ain't the only friend in the world. You don't know how many friends the Most High is going to give you. It says, and to you who are troubled, rest with us, man. Who's speaking? Paul. You want to come chill with Paul, man? Or do you want to come chill with damn Leonard, man? Day-Day, Ray Jean, JJ. Who do you want to kick it with? Paul and rest with him? Or do you want to rest with the wicked? That's a decision you got to make. Because you're going to be troubled. And you're going to get counsel or advice, rather, from either the wicked or the righteous. You have to make your mind up. When the Lord Yahweh shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels. So they're going to abuse you and speak evil against you falsely for the Most High's namesake. But that's something you have to literally do, man, for righteousness. All right? See that? I'm literally at Best Buy now. See that? It says, what if somebody is a so-called good heathen? Will slavery be less harsher for them or no? All right? Well, let's go to it. All right, Salaki. Let's go to the book of Ruth. Matter of fact, let's go to the book of Joshua 2 and 10. Salaki, I want Judges 2 and 10. Let's go to the mighty book of Judges, chapter 2. Salaki. I did one Joshua. That's what I want. Joshua chapter 2 and verse 10. It says, "For we have heard now how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea." Who is this talking about? Who is this speaking? You got the Rahab the harlot, man. Right? It's Joshua chapter 2 and verse, right? Number 3. And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab. So Rahab the harlot is a heathen. How do we know that? We're about to go into it. It's the book of Joshua 2 and 10. For we have heard how that the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the 2 kings of the Amorites. So she's saying, look, I heard what the Most High did for y'all, man. I heard how strong you are. I heard how powerful your nation is. That were on the other side of Jordan, Shalom and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we had heard of these things, our hearts did melt, meaning they were scared that the children of Israel were coming. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven and in earth beneath. With that being said, I want to jump down to, let me see what I want. 15. Then she let them down by a cord through the window. So you're going to have certain heathen, they help. You don't want to be over righteous. It's written for our learning sake. You got Jethro, Ruth, Rahab the harlot. You got certain heathens, you understand, that have been used to help the children of Israel. Like Cyrus the Great. He was used for what? For the rebuilding of the temple and things like that. So you have certain accounts that the Heavenly Father has put down for a reason. It's not for us to just overlook and not think anything about. Now, with that being said, I want to jump down in the book of Joshua to, I believe, the 6th chapter. So Rahab the harlot, she helped save the children of Israel by the hand of the Most High. And when you go to Joshua, the 6th chapter, verse 17, what did those men do in return? And the city shall be accursed, even it and all that there are in, to the Lord. Only Rahab the harlot shall live. Not that this is symbolic. She's going to get the kingdom. She's drafted in. She gets her crown upon her head. No, she's going to live. Meaning she will be showed a little bit of compassion in the day. Now you have certain people, they bow down willingly and submissively. The Lord said, don't be ashamed to make the side of an evil servant to bleed. Keyword, an evil servant. If you got Rahab the harlot in the kingdom and she's serving you submissively, willingly, and asking you to break down the dietary law all over again because she didn't get it the 9th time because she really wants to know because she doesn't want to get beat, you're not just going to be whooping and whoop. This isn't a torture, man. This is the torture kingdom. You're not just going to wake up in the morning and just want to torture all day. You have a carnal body. You have carnal thoughts. In the kingdom, you're going to be immortal and righteous. You're going to know the exact judgment to keep, the exact judgment to proclaim, where to go, when to go, what's acceptable before the eyes of the Most High. So it says, only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that were sent. So I wouldn't necessarily use the word mercy, but the Most High, through, the hand, could use compassion in certain contexts. Not that they're not going to be in slavery, not that the Most High is not going to get up with them. When you go to the book of Hebrews, the 11th chapter, verse 31, by faith, the harlot Rahab perished not. Check that out. with them that believe not, when she had received the spies with peace. So you have certain things given by peace. So by peace, you make peace. You understand? There were a lot of children of Israel in slavery, Salakia. There were a lot of children of Israel in slavery. They was like, yes, sir, whatever you say, sir. Whatever you say. And then Master, like, yeah, that's one of my top niggas right there. You know what, nigger? Take the day off. You know what? I'm tripping. Why did I say that out loud? You said your heart was beating. Take the day off. Well, you just go in the back, but behind the house where there's some shade at. And the rest of you niggas stay out front where the blazing heat is. Then he kind of shuck his way into the back, man, where the shade is. Right? It's going to be a little things like that. You may have your favorite slave. You may not have your favorite slave. When you go to the book of Ecclesiastes, right, chapter 33, it explains it a little bit more in depth. Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 33. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 33. Right? And this whole chapter is fire. Right? Now, I want to get this specific point on this chapter. Now, I want to start at I guess I'm gonna start at 24. Fodder, a wand, and burdens are for the ass, and bread of correction, and work for a servant. If thou set thy servant to labor, thou shalt find rest. But if thou let him go idle, he shall seek liberty. So that's up to your discretion how much burdens you want to lay on each one of your slaves. You have certain slaves that have bigger burdens and stronger burdens. You have other slaves you have for lighter burdens. You have cooks, right? You have people that, wash, whatever the case may be. You're going to meet many diverse offices. When you go to Proverbs, the 26th chapter, let me get this quick precept. It says, I'm going to start at 2. It says, as the bird by wandering, as the swallowing by flying, so the curse causeth not, Salakia, costless shall not come. A whip for the horse, and a bridle for the ass, and a rod for the fool's back. Check that out. So you have the whip for the horse. Now the horse is mainly created for what? To ride it, man. You don't have a horse to pet it all day, man. You just want to pet your horse. Just look at him. What are horses for? To ride. Does that mean you take that little whip and you just whip him when he's relaxing and he's not bucking up? You're just whipping your horse. For no apparent reason. A wise man wouldn't do that for one particular reason. Because you need longevity out of your animal. You want this horse so that you can ride it for years. If you would take a carnal approach to all your horses and just whip them senseless, how would you get work done? How would they be healthy enough if they wasn't doing anything that needed correction at that level? You're just destroying your livestock, man. Right, let me read that precept again. It said a rod for the fool's back. And a fool's back is going to get whooped. And a fool's back is going to be destroyed. But for them that don't do these things, Salakia, I want to get this other quick precept too. Matter of fact, let me get this other quick precept. It just came to mind. Keep logging me out of the 1611 version. Salakia. When you go to Sirach, chapter 23, and I'm going to start at verse 10. For as a servant that is continually beaten shall not be without a blue mark, so he that sweareth the name of God continually shall not be faultless. It said, for a servant that is continually beaten shall not be without a blue mark. Now, it's nothing wrong to continually beat your servant. It's nothing wrong to recompense that vengeance upon him. But if you do that every single day with that same vengeance to all your slaves, you would have none. Let's go to the next question. Right? It says, will you explain the drafting in of the Gentiles? I mean, those are the other nations, not of Israel. Right? They're not going to be any drafting in of any other nations. The drafting in are particularly for the Israelites and nobody else. Nobody else can be drafted in to anything because it wasn't for them from the foundation. You can't attach yourself to the tree. You know, you rip yourself off of this tree and you tape it onto this tree and start growing. Right? Let me get that quick precept. Let's go to Matthew 7 and verse 16. It says, ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit. So it's not the fruit, it's not the branches, it's not the shaft, it's the tree, it's the root. But a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit. So if you're coming from the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, then you have an opportunity to be righteous. You may adapt yourself to wickedness. It may be a fly, a bug, a nail, a worm, may get into that fruit and may defile it, but the root was holy. You had an opportunity. The Most High, he could have did whatever he wanted to do. He could have had that worm go the other way, but that fruit was predestined to be lived in by that worm. Neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Say your neighborhood white guy, man. He can't bring forth good fruit. This man right here, he could never bring forth good fruit. He can't bring forth good fruit. He can't bring forth good fruit. These men will never be able to bring forth good fruit. The Lord said, as iron rusteth, so is their wickedness. So they may fool you, they may hang around you, they may talk to you, but the assembly of evildoers will be destroyed. So when you actually go into it, the drafting in, let's go to the book of Romans, the 11th chapter. It's the book of Romans, chapter 11, and verse number 1. It says, I say then, have God cast away his people? So Paul is posing a question. This whole chapter is in context. You don't want to read it and jump all around, even though you can, if you know the context and you have the spirit to do so. But if you get lost, you don't want to read just one particular precept and make a doctrine out of it. It's all from in context from the beginning to the end of the chapter. I say then, meaning Paul's affirming what has already been known from old. Have God cast away his people? Who are his people? The Israelites. Who was Paul sent forth to be a preacher to? The Gentiles. So his people in this context are the northern kingdom, the ones dispersed. The Israelites that don't know they're Israelites. The Gentiles. Did he cast them away? Did he get rid of them? Because it may seem like he did when you read 2nd Esdras, the 1st chapter. Let's read it. When you read Hosea, we read certain books, it may seem like it. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 1. And I'm going to start at verse 23. It says, I gave, Slakia, let me get it a little bit. I'm going to read 24. What shall I do unto you, unto thee, O Jacob? Thou Judah, wouldst not obey me? I will turn me to other nations, and unto those will I give my name, that they may keep my statutes. Now, a lot of people, they start clapping. The Moabite man, he stands up. He takes off his Moabite hat. He twists his whiskers. He twirls his long chin hair. And he smiles and closes his eyes all of the way. This is not talking about him. When you go to the book of Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter, the Lord has prophesied it in Romans through the hand of Ezra, through the hand of Moses, through the hand of diverse prophets, these same things. That's why when you read the scriptures, you have to read all of the Bible. To start in the New Testament, you will never be able to understand what's written from old. You have to have the foundation. The foundation is the law. The law, if you don't understand the law, which is a dark, deep, deep first 5 books, man. I mean, from the shekels to the priests, to the tabernacles, to the different animals that bring forth different spirits of an offering, all of these things are spiritual. And they're foreshadowing something, again, that's going to come in the latter days. Yahushua is all in the law, man. So you can't read this and think anything else, right? But let me get this quick precept in the book, right, of Deuteronomy, chapter 32. I don't want to read too much, right? It's a lot here. I'm going to just get straight to the point. I'm going to start at, I don't want to read too much. I'm going to start at 21. It says, we really start at 19 all the way down, but I'm going to start at 21. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy. Who is jealous? The Jews was jealous. Read that in Romans, the 3rd chapter. They were extremely jealous. That's what Paul had to check them, huh? Wasn't the parable of the prodigal son, wasn't he jealous? Father, I have been here all this time, and thou hast killed the fatling and gave him a ring? Sound like Esau, man. Like he saw how Isaac, it displeased Isaac and his mother to take the daughters of Heth. So what did Esau try to do? So when you read jealousy is a spirit, man. You don't want to have jealousy. Let's go to Luke real fast, 15. I know I'm holding a lot of precepts, but I want to touch on these precepts. 15, and get straight to the point. And this, he has a lot of jealousy. And 21. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Right? Matter of fact, I'm going to read up a little bit more. I don't want to read too much. This is a fire parable. But the father said unto his servants, bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. Right? And bring hither the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and marry. This is what the other son said. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to be married. Now his elder son was in the field, and as he came and drew nigh to the house, he heard music and dancing. What's going on here, man? And he called one of the servants and asked him these things, what these things meant. And he said unto him, thy brother is come, and thy father have killed the fatted calf, because he have received him safe and sound. And he was angry. What is he angry for? That he's alive. What is he angry that he's coming back home? That he's drafted back home? That the Most High has given him a ring, just like you had a ring, and food like you have a food, shelter like you have shelter. This is the same spirit. So when Paul, it says, and would not go in, therefore came his father out and treated him. Right? See that? And he answered and said to his father, lo, these many years I do serve thee. That's talking about the Jews. The Jews were the priests. The Jews were the 12. The Jews were the one that followed Yahushua, the many multitudes. It says, neither transgress I at any time thy commandment. Because the Lord said, though Israel go off, yet not Judah offend. In Hosea, the 4th chapter. Let me get that quick precept. 15. Though thou Israel play the harlot, yet not Judah offend. So Judah stayed true to the Most High for the most part. Yeah, you got the speckled in and speckled there. They went off. They did God knows what. But for the most part, Israel played the harlot. He went off in the world. But Judah really didn't offend. So when you read Luke, he like, neither transgressed I at any time thy commandment. And yet thou never gavest me a kid that I may make merry with my friends. So he was blind that he had food the whole time. The same way the Jews were blind that the Most High was drafting them in. When you read Romans the 3rd chapter. That's why Paul says, what advantage then have the Jew? Meaning the gig is up, man. The Most High's drafted in his other saints. You don't have an advantage anymore. It says, or what profit is the circumcision? Meaning, what profit is the circumcision between the uncircumcision? Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God, the prophecies, right? The mysteries. For what if some did not believe? Who was the some that did not believe? The stiff-necked Pharisees, the stiff-necked elders, those men of the Sanhedrin and other men around the coast that were off, man. The Lord said through the hand of Peter, who could forbade them, man? Meaning, who could stop God's hand from bringing in these Gentiles? And that's not talking about the so-called white man. You go to Acts, the 10th chapter. This is Acts chapter 10 and verse 44. While Peter yet spake these words, the Holy Ghost fell on all them which heard the word. Not just the circumcision, not just the elders, not just Peter, James, and John, but all of them that heard the word. And they of the circumcision which believed were astonished. Like, damn, this is only supposed to be for us. This is only has happened for us. As many as came with Peter, because that on the Gentiles also was poured out the gift of the Holy Ghost. So, I mean, Peter said, when you jump to verse 47, can any man forbid water? Meaning, can anybody stop these men from being baptized? Could I do it at this point? Could you do it? You know, we have to humble ourselves and understand that the Most High chose them the same way it chose us. That these should not be baptized, which have received the Holy Ghost as well as we. He commanded them to be baptized in the name of the Lord. Then prayed they him to tarry certain days. Check that out. So you have to understand, when you go all the way back to Romans, that is picking up on so many contexts of prophecy from old in Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter, to Ezra, to the drafting away, or the breaking off rather, in Hosea, to Paul having to come to revive the spirit of the lost, sent to the what? Uncircumcised. I say then, have God cast away his people? Because it may be up in the air, man. You know, Hosea said this. I don't know. It sounds like that during the time of Yahushua, because they didn't even want him to come to the land of Samaria. They set their face against it. We don't know. God forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Have not, Salaki, God have not cast away his people, which he foreknew. What ye not with the scripture of Isaiah? Salaki, how Elijah made make intercession for God against Israel, saying, Lord, I have killed thy prophets and dig down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they that seek my life. Right when Jezebel was trying to hunt down the men of the Lord, and Obadiah hid them in caves. Right, we won't have to necessarily get that deep, but the Lord is saying, when you jump down to verse 11, I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is coming to the Gentiles to provoke them to jealousy. Did not the Lord say that in Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter, what we just read? They got provoked to jealousy. That's what you read in Romans, the 3rd chapter. That's what you read in Romans, all throughout the book of Romans. So the jealousy came by these men. So when you're going into it, the Gentiles that it's speaking about, and let me see, I don't have the Bible dictionary on me specifically. Matter of fact, let me see. Let's go to the blue letter. But you have to be very, very particular when you're going into the word Gentile because you don't want to get tripped up in a different context. You have certain Gentiles that are Israelites in certain contexts, and you have certain Gentiles that are not Israelites in certain contexts. Right? In the Bible dictionary is a more clear definition, but it says a tribe, nation, people, group. Check that out. A nation. It didn't say nations with an S. So a particular nation. You know, we were called Greeks in the Bible. We were called a lot of things in the Bible. Antiochians, right? They call us now what? Americans. So a lot of things when you read these scriptures, they may call you the world rather a different name, right? And I'm gonna get this quick precept to dive into that. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 54. It's Isaiah chapter 54 and 3. But thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles. So you have one context, we're going to inherit the Gentiles and make them desolate cities to be inhabited. And then on the other context, a Gentile is being drafted in. Now, is that confusion? No. Gentile means multiple things, man. So when you're going into it, it says, now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world and the diminishing of them, the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fulfillment. Now, most High willing, I could do more of an in-depth breakdown on this, but for sake of time, right, I'm going to come back to that specific question. We're willing, like on a deeper breakdown or going into it, right? But with that, think about the close up through the spirit, right? Giving all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach Malak Yahushua. Well, let me get this closing quick precept. And Most High willing, I could do more lives to answer more questions. And we used to do a whole lot of Q&As on the old channel. Whole lot of Q&As, at least once a week, going for over an hour, maybe 2 hours. Sometimes 5, 6, 10, depending on the spirit of the Most High and the edification and the time. But Most High willing, we can continue on as much as we can, you know, with these lives and with continuing on with these Q&As for the further edification. It's the book of Romans, Salaki, it's the book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse, Salaki, get the third chapter. 3 and verse 2. It says, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. So we have to watch in all things. We have to watch our spirits, our households, be diligent, do everything we can do to magnify the name of the Lord without all our might and our understanding. So now is not the time to go back in the world to do the lust of your flesh, to bow down to the spiritual thing of Satan, not to be fasting, not to be praying, not to be making your body a living sacrifice. You could fall out this truth at any given moment. Every day you breathe, you wake up, and you understand the words of life are essentially a blessing and mercy from the Heavenly Father for you continue to take advantage of the mercy, right, to bring yourself back to life through the words of life, man. If not, you're essentially going to get your candlestick blown out. It says, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. What's ready to die? God knows what. You know. You examine yourself. You know whether it's your job, not having any money financially, that's dying off, and you need to strengthen that up. Whether it be your understanding in geography, your lack of understanding in the prophecies, right? Your children, your spirit, hatred, envy, or a grudge. These things You have to examine and strengthen them and deny your flesh and mortify thy members so that the Most High could behold your prayers in the last days, man. If the Most High isn't listening to your prayers, then you're essentially no better than these dead men and women walking in the earth with no light and understanding. That's essentially more scary, man. To know the judgments of the Most High, that He exists, but He ignores you and He's not dealing with you. And there's nothing you could do about it. When everybody else doesn't have no clue. So they're easier to breathe and go to sleep at night. That'll taunt you forever, man. The Most High can get rid of you, discard you, take your spirit. The fear of the Most High is the chiefest thing, above all things, above everything you could think about that you need to be studying or following or reading. It should be the fear of the Most High. That's going to keep you grounded, because the fear of the Most High is going to have you to be a better man, a better woman, to be submissive, to be loving, to be a leader, to be strong, to be wise, to grow in strength. These are a lot of attributes that the Most High is going to bestow on you through the hand of His mercy if you fear Him. If you don't, and you're going off and contending small things and waxing worse and worse, what's essentially going to happen? The Most High is going to blow out your candlestick and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. For I have not found thy works perfect before God. So no man can stand up and justify himself on any level, on any cause. No matter how many times you've been praying, how many times you gave alms this week, how many precepts you know. Only man cares carnally about things like that, not the Most High. The Most High is the Word. That's like your wife saying, you know what? I know your favorite color is blue. I know you like Martin. And I know you like the basketball. Like, okay, that's only three things. You have no idea the things I truly love and the things that are within me that I've never told you. Can't impress the Most High by smiting on your chest. Your works are never perfected, man. In that day when you get a crown on your head, everlasting life, and the Lord says, well done, thy good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Come thou, enter into the joy of thy kingdom, man. You know, which was prepared for you from the foundation of the earth. These are the words you want to hear. You know, not thou wicked and slothful servant. These are the things that you have to go over and understand that works along with faith is what's going to save you. Remember, therefore, how thou hast received and heard. What do you receive? Sound doctrine, understanding, the prophecies. Don't be bewrayed and bewitched in the last days by evil spirits and seducers that come in man's flesh or may appear in your mind as a plague, or through pure demons manipulating your mind and reading the scripture wrong. I ain't trying to get too deep. Hold fast to what the Most High gave you. You don't have to be so deep, man. What profit is it just because you can swim to dive 100 feet down in the ocean? You may not make it back up. Just because you can swim don't mean you have to go out 100 feet in the current, man. That's going to pull you away. You have to remember, therefore, how thou has received and heard, meaning what you know to be true, and hold fast. That's something that everyone has to do in the last days, is hold fast to the knowledge of truth. Through persecutions, right? Through slothfulness, through all of these different things, you have to understand how important it is to hold fast. The Lord isn't saying that for no reason. And repent. It's a very important part of this truth that a lot of people don't regard. You have to repent. You know, I would say 5 to 9 out of 10 of your prayers should be repentance. Shouldn't just be asking the Most High for things. What if He isn't having respect on your prayer because you have so much blood on your hands? It says, if therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. So the Lord said, if you're not watching, and watching is manyfold. There's so many things to watch. It's impossible to get bored in this truth. If you fall asleep in this truth, you was never watching to begin with. That's like that old lady on the porch. You know, she got twins that live next door. Got an old man that cheat across the street. Got the kids get off of the bus at 3 o'clock every single day. She understands all of the people that get home, she gets home at 3 o'clock, she gets home at 6 o'clock, he gets home at 9 o'clock, and he works at nights. She's watching the whole neighborhood, man. It's a damn movie. If she just sitting up there rocking and dogs are barking and gunshots is firing and everything playing out before her eyes and she's not being vigilant, she's going to fall asleep. And how can you sleep when there's so much going on in the earth, man? How can you sleep when there's so much labor to be wrought in the vineyard? How can you sleep when your spirit is not right, man? The Lord said, I would not give sleep to mine eyes. And that's spiritual. If you give sleep to your eyes, brother, it's over. You may not wake back up, man. You can't think and say within yourself, you know what? I'm going to just do what I want to do and fall asleep. A little sleep, a little folding on the hands, then soon cometh poverty. And I want as travail, man. So the Most High is not somebody you want to play with. It says, thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. And that's the scary part. Because if you knew, you will most definitely prepare yourself. But since you don't know, it's going to happen when you least expect it. So continue to read, pray, fast, watch, be diligent, make the calling of your election sure, and do all things right with sincerity and truth to magnify the name of the Lord, Yahweh Shimmy Yahushua. But with that, Lord willing, this was edifying through the Spirit. Most High willing, we will come back and do a part 2. Yahweh Bashima Mashiach Malak Yahushua. Shalom.